Hi everyone. Today we have complete course of Pandas library. Pandas is a powerful and open source Python library. Is used for data manipulation and analysis. Pandas consist of data structures and functions to perform efficient operations on data. Pandas is built on top of two core Python libraries, Matplotlib for data visualization and NumPy for mathematical operations. Pandas acts as a wrapper over these libraries, allowing you to access many of Matplotlib's and NumPy's method with less code. We will cover all concepts of Pandas library like introduction to Pandas library, what is Pandas, install Pandas, quick demo with series. Then we will see Pandas series, Pandas DataFrame, Pandas head and tail functions, how to load CSV and create DataFrame, select multiple rows and columns from DataFrame, add multiple rows and columns, remove rows and columns, date range function, DataFrame truncate function, Pandas series, string slice function, Pandas ILoc function, DataFrame set index function, loc versus ILoc, series apply function, DataFrame apply function, value count and count functions, short value and short index functions, DataFrame GroupBy function, Pandas transform function, Concat Pandas series, merge data frames, join data frames and series, compare two data frames and series, check if data frames are equal or not, aggregate for data frames, and unique functions. So let's get started with the complete course of Pandas library. Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas library in Python. As you know, Pandas library is used for data science and machine learning. Pandas library is a powerful and widely used data manipulation and analysis library in Python. It provides data structure for efficiently storing and manipulating large data sets and tool for working with structured data. Structured means we have CSV, we have JSON, we have SQL data tables, right? While before Pandas, we have been working with NumPy library wherein we see NumPy arrays. We worked from one dimensional to n dimensional array. Here with Pandas, we will be using some feature like data frame, series, data cleaning and pre-processing, indexing and selection, grouping and aggregation, merging and concatenation, reading and writing data, time series analysis, visualization, integration with NumPy. Okay, in short, we can say Pandas and NumPy libraries are used in data science and machine learning programmings. Let me show you the official website of Pandas library. If you open your browser and type in Pandas on Google, the very first link, that is Pandas official website. If you open the link, you will be able to see the installation of Pandas. So here you can see the latest version of Pandas library, that is 2.1.4, right? You can see what functionalities or features are there with the library. You can find their release histories also. You can find the documentation of Pandas library classes and functions. Okay, you can find API reference. Here we can see there are different categories on Pandas library. We can open anything and we can take help from this official documentation. We will get all the functions, all their documentation in Pandas library. If you see, Pandas is a fast, powerful, flexible and easy to use open source data analysis and a manipulation tool. Let me come back to the tutorial. We will see how we can install Pandas library on our computer. Either you have to open command prompt or you have to open the terminal on your any editor. So you have to type in one command, pip install pandas. If you want to check whether a specific library is installed on your computer or not, you have to type in one command, pip list. It will show you the total number of packages are installed on your computer. So there is a list here. You can see we have NumPy, we have Pandas also. So we are not going to install Pandas, or if you want to upgrade it, you have to type in pip install Pandas and you have to pass on one argument, upgrade, right? So it will install the latest version on your existing library, right? Let's see what is series. Pandas series is nothing but a column in a table, right? A column you can consider as a series, right? It is one dimensional array holding data of any type. Let's implement. We have to import pandas first. We can take pd, the Python array, then one variable to hold your data or series. pd.series function will be using, and array we have to pass on here. Let's print the result. As you can see, here we have printed the pandas series 1, 3, 5, 7. As a first column, you could see these are the indexes of these rows and column, right? 0 for 0 row, 1 for first row, 2 for second row, and 3 for third row, right? This is a column in the series. If you want to locate any element of this series, result, and then we can say 2. If you're in the program, so you will get 5, right? Here you could see the 5 is printed because we have located the series element. Okay. If you want to set the labels with your series, then you have to create labels. A, that would be B, that would be C, right? If you now print your label, then you will get the value corresponding to the label, right? Right? So we have four elements and we have provided them the labels also, right? If you change it to C, it will get the value accordingly, right? This is 5. Okay. Let me take one relevant example, that is the sales of daily basis. This time we can create a dictionary, right? Day 1 sales, that is 1000. Now let's pass on the dictionary, right? And we remove it. It would be result 1. Now let's print the result 1. Okay. Run the program again. So you will see the day 1 1000, day 2 1500, and day 3 is 2000, right? So which means we have created the series with their labels as well, right? If you want to get the value with a specific label, then you can say day 2, right? So in this tutorial, we have seen what is Pandas library in Python, how we can install Pandas library, and what is series in Pandas. Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas series with NumPy array in Python. In previous tutorial, we have seen how we can create simple series with Pandas library. But here in this tutorial, we are going to see how we can create Pandas series with different type of data, and we will be creating Pandas series with help of NumPy arrays also. So I'm using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed. If you have not yet installed Pandas library on your computer, so you have to install it first. Open your command prompt or terminal in the PyCharm editor, and you have to type in one command, pip install pandas, right? Once pandas library is installed on your computer, then you can start using pandas library function in Python code. What is pandas series? Pandas series is one dimensional labeled array, right? Capable of holding different type of data types like integer, string, float, other Python objects. The axis label are called index. Okay, you know, we have already seen 0 to n number of indexes we can create with series, right? By default, indexes are generated. We can also specify our label indexes explicitly, right? If you want to create empty series, that is very simple. First import pandas. If you want to create a simple series, then we can say s1 equals to pd.series. Okay, if you print s1, so it will show you indexes and columns, right? If you're in the program, so you can see this object we have printed. So it has nothing, don't have any series, right? It's a type of object. Okay. If you want to pass on any arguments, you can 1, 2, 3. You can pass on like this and you will get your series, right? So we can say series as a column. If you take an example of Excel, so all the columns you can say these are series, right? Okay. And these are the index of rows on the Excel, right? You can say row at 0 index, row at first index, right? Okay, that way it goes. If you want to create a series with help of NumPy arrays, you can also do the same. Like you have to first import NumPy library. If you have not yet installed NumPy, so first install NumPy on your computer, right? And we'll be creating array. So n1 we can say it np dot array, and you can do the same thing, right? You just pass on n1, right? So this is the same thing. Okay, you could see this is the same output as we saw. So this is a NumPy array, right? ND array, and we have passed on ND array into the series. Okay. If you want to pass on the index also, right? You can do index, and you can put any type of indexes, right? So these would be shown as an index of elements, right? If you're in the program, so you will see the index would be changed, like 100, we have 1, 200, we have 3. Instead of numpy array, if you want to pass on simple list, that is also possible, right? If I want to create a character list, then this is also possible, and you can pass on, right? To you have to print in the program. So this is the same thing. Means this series function is getting different type of data as you see, right? A, B, C, and the index is 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? If you want to provide the same index, then pass on, right? This is the same thing. Okay. So here the point is series function actually accepts any type of data, right? You see, if you want to pass on only single value, that is also possible, right? Your indexes would be 4, right? But you do not want to specify list. So 1000 value would be printing to all the indexes, right? That way it works. If you want to make your indexes less, then it will take only 2 rows, right? As you see, on basis of indexes, actually we are saying this is the value for each index, right? If you make it only a single value in the series function, then it will create only single row in the series, right? You can consider this output as a single row in the Excel. Okay, one column and one row. You can also use linspace function from NumPy. If you want to use linspace, let me copy the code and make it as 3. Will be printing as 3, and instead of n1 I'll be using numpy dot linspace, right? And then we have to pass on from where we want to start. We want to start with 2, 10. It is also possible, right? If you run the program, so you will get 2 and 10, right? To make it 3, so it will take 2, 6, and 10, right? So this numpy function can also be used with pandas series. Okay, if you want to start with 1, you want to stop at 100, and then you want a. So what this parameter is doing, this means number means what are you saying, number of samples to generate, right? So these are the number of samples you wanted to generate. Okay, let's say if you want to maybe take any range, then it will also work. Instead of this, let me take range function, and I wanted to generate a range of 10, right? So that way will also work. Okay, so 0 to 9 range, 0 to 9 number we have taken, and it created a one series with one column, and we have 10 rows, right? If you want to create your index with list comprehension, so you can say a 1 2 3 4 5, right? So it will take a index from 1 to 5, right? Create a range of 5, right? So 5 rows will be creating, okay, and you will have a single column, right? 0 to 4 we have created in this range, and as an index we have used 1 to 5, right? We want to make it 11. This is also possible, right? you want a square, right? This will also work, right? As an index, you will get squares of each element, right? See? So we have seen how we can create a series in different ways, right? We created numpy array and we have passed on to the series, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas data frame in Python. What is data frame? How we can create data frame? I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. So let's get started with the tutorial. Data frame is a two-dimensional data structure like a two-dimensional array or a table with rows and columns, right? We can take an example of Excel, right? We have rows and columns. I have one Excel with me. If you see, this is a CSV file, right? Here you could see columns and rows. Okay, so this is called structured data type. Okay, and data frames are based on these structured types. We can load a CSV file into data frames. This column is called a series, right? So let's implement how we can create data frames with help of Pandas library in Python. We have to import. In order to create data frames, we can take a dictionary days. We can take these days in form of Python list, right? And then we can take sales amount, right? Three values we will take here. Okay, so this is our simply dictionary, and then we can see what is type of D1 in the program. This is a type of dictionary, right? And we can use this dictionary to load a one data frame with help of Pandas library, right? Take one variable that is result to one and PD that is the alias of Pandas library, and then we have to use data frame, right? This data frame function we have to use, we have to pass on our dictionary, right? All done. We have to print result one, right? Let's run the program. If you see, this dictionary has got converted into rows and column, right? This is two-dimensional array. Days we have one column, sales we have another column, 0, 1, 2, this is index column, right? So this is first row, this is second row, this is third row, right? This is first column and this is second column, right? So we have seen the dictionary which is used to create data frames, right? If you want to create a new data frame without any data, this can also be done, right? Keep it blank, that is result 2, and then print result 2. So it will show you the blank data frames. Okay, you will see there is no column, there is no index, right? It's a blank data frame. You can create blank data frame also, right? Without passing any of the data, any of the columns, any of the dictionary. If you want to create another column here, that is also possible. Country, US, right? We're in the program. So you will get another new column, right? Okay, it's a country. You can create, as many series as you want. Okay, each column is called series. Okay, and that on those series are got converted to the data frames. Okay, let's see how we can locate a row. So to locate any row, we can use loc attribute and we can locate any row from the data frames, right? If you want to get the row number 1 from this data set, so you can use result 1, then we can say loc, and then we can say 2, right? If you're in the program, so you can locate this specific row from the data set, right? Days is day 3, right? Sales is 566 and country is US, right? So this row is easily located with the help of loc attribute, right? Okay, if you want to change it, you can change it, right? Okay, now this row is located. If you want to locate multiple rows at the same time, then you can pass on multiple rows indexes in form of list in the loc attribute, then it will locate first and second row, right? During the program, you will get your two rows, right? 1 and 2, right? Index starts with 0, so we got these two rows, right? 1 and 2, right? If you want to make it 0 and 2, then you will get 0 and 2, right? let's see what is name indexes. With the index argument, you can name your own indexes, right? So if you want to provide the name to your index, then we can provide like serial number 1. So instead of 0, 1, 2, we are specifying our own indexes, right? If you're in the program, so it will show you the indexes. It is racing problem because we are locating row number 0 and 2, which is not anymore. We have specified the indexes. Let's try to print this way. Serial number 1, right? Let's in the program again. So we will be able to locate our rows, right? Serial number 1, that would be our first row, and then serial number 2 row, right? These two rows are printed. If you make serial number 3, so third row will be printed in our output, right? In the program. So you will get serial number 1 and third. So this is how named index work. And we have also seen locate name indexes, how to locate name indexes. This way we can also locate. If you want to make it single, you can do it this way also, right? So you will see first row, that is this, will get, right? You want to only sales, right? Then you will get the sales value for this row. Okay, you see 233. This is your first row, and you got 233, right? You got this value. If you want to get the value of a specific row, specific column, I want to get the country. So for serial number 1, I'll be getting country as India, right? It's in the program. So you will see 233 and India we are getting. Okay, let's see how we can load a CSV file with help of Pandas library. Okay, so to load the file, first we have a file, right? This is the file. Okay, days and sales, these are two columns. We have some data rows, okay, against all the columns. I have one row where sales is not specified, right? Okay, so we will try to load this data into data frames, right? Let me minimize it. Okay, so this CSV file, test CSV, is located at the same location where we are running this program. Okay, so if you want to see the file, this file is located on the same location. If you open this file, so this is in format of CSV, right? We have two columns, days and sales, and these columns has their own data, right? Let me go back to my program. If you want to load the file, you have to just take one variable where you want to get the data, and we will be using pandas instance, and then we will be using one function read CSV, right? This is the one, and we have to specify my file name, that is testcsv.csv file, and then finally we'll be printing F1. Okay, that's in the program. So your CSV file will be loaded into this variable. You see, we got the output. We have days and sales. Okay, so we are now getting all the data from the CSV file with help of read underscore CSV function. Okay, if you want to locate any row, loc attribute, you can say first row I wanted to get 0 and 1. So this data would be printed, day 2 and 400 sales would be printed, right? If you're in the program, so you will get days 2 and 400 is printed. Okay, that way you can locate. If you want to locate multiple rows, same way you can do it. 1 and 2, this indexes of the data from the CSV would be loaded, right? You see 1 and 2 is printed. Okay, so this is how we can read CSV file, okay, with help of Panda library. Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas DataFrame or series to view data. We will be loading a CSV file. However, we have seen few things to get data from data frames and series, but with help of head and tail function, we will be getting top and bottom rows. Okay, I'm using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. So what is a data frame? As you know, data frame is a two-dimensional data structure, right, in rows and columns. I have opened a Excel on my computer. I have some data in form of CSV file, right? If you see, there are few rows and there are couple of columns with this data, right? So here we will be targeting this CSV to load into Python code, right? Then we will be reading these data with help of tail and head function, right? This is a structured data in form of rows and columns, that is data frame. If you talk about a series, then series is nothing but it's a one dimensional data. Okay, one dimensional means if you talk about a single column on your Excel sheet, that is a one dimensional array, right? So this is called a series, right? We are going to read this CSV file. If you look at the CSV file, this is at my working location where I have saved this program, and you could see the first row as a header, and then all bottoms rows are in form of data, right? So this file, this data we are going to read with help of one function from Pandas library, and then we will be using head and tail function. Okay, so let's implement import pandas first. First, read the CSV file pandas alias, and then we will be using one read CSV function as we have used in previous tutorial. And we have one file name that is test csv.csv, right? And we are going to get this data directly into the result, right? That will load, all data will load into result and we'll be printing result, right? If you're in the program, you will get all your data from the file. You see, so your first row header is printed at the top, and in the bottom area we got all the rows. This is for indexing. So we have loaded the data from the CSV files successfully. Now let's talk about what is head. Head means if you want to get a specific number of rows from the data frame, you can easily do use result dot head. Okay, and then you say h1 and then print. So it will return you top 5 rows from this data, right? By default, 5 rows are returned from this method. If you're in the program, so you will get 5 rows, right? You see, these 5 rows are printed from this data frame. Okay, if you want to get more number of rows, if you say 8 rows would be written from this method, so we will be using n, this parameter equals to n, right? Which we have declared right here. Okay, or you can say it's count, and you will get 8 rows from this method, right? By default, 5 records are returned. If you're in the program, you will get 8 rows. Okay, you see, we are getting 8 rows, 0 to 7, while we have total 10 records in this CSV. If you want to get only a specific series, only a specific column from this CSV file, so we'll be saying result, and then we will be calling, let's say we want to get sales, and then S1. Sales entire columns data would be loaded into S1, and then we will be printing S1. Okay, if you're in the program, so your one column, sales column, would be retrieved. Even if you want to apply the head function on S1 also, it will give you by default 5 rows from S1, right? Before that, if you want to get the type of S1, what is the type of this object? Let's print it first. Okay, so S1 would be a type of series. This series, and we can apply the head function s1 dot, right? And then we can print it. So we will get top 5 rows from this series, this entire series. You see, we got 5 rows from this series. Okay, if you want to get more rows, then you just specify 6, then you will get your 6 rows. Okay, this is how we can use head function. See the documentation of head function. It says returns the first n row, right? Which is by default 5. Okay. If you talk about a tail function is just opposite to head function. Tail function will return you the bottom rows. By default, 5 rows will be returned. Okay. So if you say h2 equals to result dot tail, right? So in H2, we will get bottom 5 rows, okay? If you're in the program, so you will get bottom 5 rows, right? You see 5th index to 9th. So we get data from this index to this index, okay? Day 6, retail 2022. Day 6, retail 2022. Similarly, if you want to get more rows, then you can put 7 or anything you can put. Records got from 3rd index to 9th, right? You see, we got 7 records. So this is how we can use tail function. Okay, similarly, you can use the tail function on series as well. 7 records you will get, right? If you're in the program, so you will get 7 records from this series, right? From this series. Okay, if you remove this value from here, then by default 5 bottom rows from the series will be retrieved. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will get last bottom row from the series. You see? Okay, so this is how head and tail function works to get top and bottom rows. Guys, in this video, we will be learning how we can select rows and columns from Pandas data frame. First, we will load a CSV file and then we will be dealing with rows and columns from Excel sheets. I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. If you have not yet installed it, you have to open your command prompt or you can open the terminal from PyCharm and run a one command, that is pip install pandas. Once Pandas library is installed on your computer, you can use Pandas feature in your Python code. What is data frame? As you know, data frame is a two-dimensional data structure, right? Data is aligned in a tabular fashion in rows and column. Okay. We will perform basic operations like selecting rows and columns from data frame. I have one CSV handy with me. If you see this CSV, we have few rows and columns in form of this data which belongs to one sector, right? Where we have sales basis on countries. Okay. So we are going to perform few operation on this test CSV sheet. We'll be loading this data and then we'll be selecting rows and columns, right? If you want to see this CSV, this is right here at the same location where I have saved this program, right? This data is in form of CSV format. This is comma separated, right? So first we will import Pandas library and then we will load this CSV file into data frame, right? Let me import Pandas. This is alias and we have to say result equals to pd dot then dot read CSV, right? We have to pass on the file name, that is test CSV dot CSV. Okay, we can print this result, right? If you're in the program, so you will get your old data from this Excel sheet, right? You can see the same data we could see in the output window. Okay, if you want to see the type of the object, this is a data frame, you could see, right? Now we have to select columns from this data frame. So this is pretty simple. Create a one variable and then you can see result and then you say any column name. I would say sales, right? And then print C1. So you can select a single column from this result, right? You could see the sales is written. Okay. If you want to select multiple columns, then you have to pass on multiple columns in form of list, right? So let's say I want to pass on country also, and you will get sales and country both columns from this data. Okay, you could see sales and country we got. Okay, so this is how we can get single or multiple columns from data frame, right? If you want to get the rows from this data frame, then this loc attribute you have to use. Here we can pass any index of the row that we want to get, and that row would be printed, right? If you're in the program, so you will get the row, right? This is index 2, okay? 300 is the sales, so you get 300 is the sales, right? This is a complete row you got from this statement, okay? If you want to get multiple rows at the same time, then the same way we can do, let's say 1 and 4, or maybe we will include 2, right? It will return 1, 4 and 2 rows, right? You see 1, 4 and 2 row we got. So this is how we can get multiple rows from a data frame, and this is how we can multiple columns from a data frame, okay? If you want to filter out your data frame also on a specific column, this can also be done with help of index column here, right? So we can set one column as an index. I'm saying sector, right? This would be my index column, and we can filter the data on this column, right? With help of loc attribute. Let me remove all this, right? And we have to say R1 where result dot loc retail, right? And then print it. Okay, so it will filter out the data on this index column on sector, right? So you will get where sector is retail, so all those rows you will get, right? If you're in the program, if you want to pass on more filter, right, you also include petrol also, okay? Then multiple values can also be provided in the loc attribute, right? So you will get this and this row also in this result, right? If you're in the program, so you will get all rows where sector either equals to retail or petrol, okay? So this is how we can select rows and columns from data frame. We have loaded CSV, and then we have performed select operation on rows and columns, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas data frame, how we can add rows and columns in data frame. Okay, so I am using editor PyCharm, and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. As you know, data frame, it's a two-dimensional data structure, that is data is aligned in a tabular fashion, right, in rows and columns. As we have seen in the previous tutorial, so we had one Excel with us, there was some rows and columns, and we easily loaded that comma separated CSV file into data frame. Okay, so we had used a one pandas function, read CSV function, by which we loaded all CSV data into the data frame, right? We will be creating a new data frame with help of dictionary, and then we will be adding rows and columns inside. Okay, we are going to import pandas library. Okay, import. Here what we have to do, we have to create a one data frame with help of dictionary, right? So you can take a dictionary like dictionary one, and then you can define your names, print the dictionary, so it will be printed, and you can get the type also, right? Make sure whether this is a type of dictionary only, right? So during the program, so we are getting this is a dictionary class. Okay, so far so good. Now we have to create a data frame with help of this dictionary. So what we have to do, we have to take one table, one object name to load data frame. We'll be using pandas alias, and then we have to say data frame, and here we have to pass this dictionary. Okay, very simple. And then we will be printing this result object. Let's in the program. Your all data would be loaded into this object, right, in form of rows and columns. You see, we have four columns which we have declared into dictionary, and we have the data also, right, against all columns. This is a row index 0 and 1. It is default feature of data frame to identify what is the index of row, right? Here the data is generated in form of rows and columns, so that is a data frame. You can say now our agenda is to add few rows and columns into data frame, right? If you want to add a new column into this data frame, existing data frame, so what you can do, you can just take a result and you can say region column I want to add, right? And then you can specify values. That is my east region. We have two rows, so we'll be specifying two values here, okay? East and west, okay? Then you will see a new region column with this data, right? If you're in the program, so you will get a new column is inserted, right? Region, east and west. Okay. So this is how we can introduce a new column into the data frame, right? At the runtime. Okay. Let's add few rows, right? Into this data frame. Okay. How to do it? So we have to create a new data frame. So let me take a dictionary 2. It is my new row. Let me take single row, right? At the moment. And okay. Okay, this represent a single row, right, in form of dictionary 2. So what we have to do, we have to create another data frame. Let me take data frame 1 and then pd dot data frame, right? And then we have to pass on our dictionary 2, right? That is our new row, which we are going to add, right? So then what we have to do, we have to use one concat function from Pandas library, and then we will be creating result to one another object pd dot concat. If you see the documentation of concat function, so it will show you the iterable object, right? So which means a sequence or mapping of series or data frame object, right? So we can pass n number of object which we want to concatenate into one, right? So we already have one result data frame with us, right? This is a data frame, okay? And we have another for new row, that is data frame 1. So we can say data frame 1, and then that is our previous result. And one more function we have to use, reset index, which should be drop equals to, right, true. Means it will recreate the indexes, right? Okay, so that is how it works. And that is any type of argument in concat, right? Okay, result 1 will be printing. Let's run the program and then see what is the output. Yep. So we have got inserted a new row into this data set. You see, previously we had two rows. Now it became three rows, right? 0, 1, 2. And you could see index is also reset. Okay. So that is our new row, right? This is at the top. Okay. Where region is not specified, because in this row, region we have not specified. That is why it is showing NaN. There is no value. Okay. If you specify, you will get north on this place, right? Because as a new row, we are now specifying region also, okay? And that date would be maybe 3, and even sales would be 600, okay? It's a retail type sector in the program. So you can see it's a 3rd of January, and north region is north now inserted, right? So you can create n number of rows you want to add here. If you want to add one more row, then you have to say like 700 automotive, right? Japan as a country for this row, and the region would be west for this row, right? If you run the program again, so you will get two new row into this data frame, right? You see 3 and 4 gen, right? This is India, this is Japan. Okay, so with the help of concat function, we have now merged two data frames, right? And we got the single output, right? In form of rows and columns. Okay, so we have seen how to add rows and column into data frame. We had created data frame with the help of dictionary, and then we added rows and columns. Okay. Guys, in this video, we will be learning how we can remove rows or columns from Pandas data frame. We will be using data frame drop method, right? I'm using editor PyCharm, and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. With this tutorial, we will be using NumPy also. Now let's get started with our tutorial. So what is data frame? Data frame is nothing but it's a structured data in form of rows and columns. If we take an example of Excel sheet, so this is a correct example of data frame. Okay, here the agenda is to drop columns and rows from data frame object. We have seen how we can load a data frame, right? How we can load a CSV file into the data frame, how we can select, how we can add, right? So we will be creating a sample data frame with the help of NumPy library, right? Okay, and then we will be removing some rows. Okay, so now let's import first both libraries, pandas as PD and then NumPy also, right? However, you can load a CSV file into data frame easily, but I wanted to show you with help of NumPy library how we can create a data frame into pandas, right? So I'm taking np the alias of NumPy and then we can create a data frame. Okay, pandas library dot data frame. Here we have to create a two-dimensional array, right? Here we can use arrange. We are arranging few element, right? I'm taking 12 elements, right? And then I wanted to reshape it, right? In form of rows and columns. So reshaping into 3 into 4, right? So that would be 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay. And here what I wanted to specify columns also, right? My columns as well. So that would be column 1, column 2. If you want to print the data frame, it will show you the output in form of rows and columns, right? You see the column 1, column 2, column 3 and column 4, right? So we are able to generate 12 elements into form of rows and columns. Okay, so this is a default columns that is generated by a data frame, right? For indexing to identify each row, these are our data which we have generated from here with the help of NumPy library, right? If you want to check the type of the df, right, this object, so you will get this is a type of data frame. Okay, you see it's a type of data frame. Now let's remove some columns from this data frame. To remove columns we have to use data frame dot drop and we have to pass on our columns, right? I'm going to remove column 2 and column 3, right? So if you print the object which drop function will return, so that will return you the copy of your data frame. Okay, so if you run the program, yeah, so we have to pass on axis also, right? If axis is 1, which means it would be a column removal. If it is 0, it means this will be a rows removal, right? So depending upon the axis values, so it will decide whether a row is deleted or column is deleted. Okay, so let's run the program again. So you will get your two columns which are removed, column 2 and column 3, right? So those columns are removed from this output, right? And drop function is returning the output. Okay, if you see the documentation of drop function, so it will show you the axis. Why? So axis is, you can see three parameters, right? We have used columns, that is one. We will be using rows, okay? And one more parameter you will say in place, that is false. So we'll be using in place boolean default false. If false, return a copy, otherwise do operation, right? So if we use right false, so it will give you the copy of your output of your data frame, right, after performing the operation. If you make it true, so it will just do the operation, right? It will not return you anything. It will return just none. Okay, which means nothing. If you want to check now your data frame, so your data frame would be updated, right? If you're in the program, so you will get your data frame would be updated. You see the two columns are removed. So this is the meaning of in place true. On the similar line, if you want to remove your rows with indexes, so those can be removed, right? Let's say I want to remove rows from data frame, drop, and then I'll be passing 1 and 2 row. Okay, I'm using in place true, which will do the operation only, and my data frame would be updated directly, right? If you're in the program, so row 1 and 2, right, this would be deleted. Okay, if you're in the program, only 0 row is printed, 1 and 2 is removed. Okay, So this is how we can remove rows and columns. So we have seen how we can remove rows and columns from data frame with help of drop function, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning date range function that comes from Pandas library. So what is date underscore range function? It returns a fixed frequency date time index, right? Date time index means which contains date information. Okay. First you have to import Pandas library alias. So if I'm taking D1 and then Pandas alias and this date range function, right? If you notice on this function, so you will get the arguments like a start date we have to provide, end date we can provide, periods, frequency, time zone, normalize. So we will be using these arguments and we will be getting a date range, right? So if I say my start would be a specific date that would 1st January 2024, specify your end date 15th January 24, right? So if you print your date 1, so you will be getting your all dates ranging from this date to this date, right? So let me print the type of this D1 object. Right? Let's run the program. So you will see date time index object that is containing a date range from this date to this date, right? If you see that is 1st January of 2024 and it is ending on 15th of January, right? So we are getting this range of dates with help of date range function, right? And even you are getting it's a type of date time index. Okay, if you want to get a specific date from this d1 object, then you can use an indexer like 0 and you can see 1, right? If you're in the program again, so you will get, you see we are getting two dates, right? 1st of January and 2nd of January, right? If you want to get the type of this value of these objects, let's see which type of object this indexer is returning here. Let's see. You see this is a timestamp, right? It's a type of timestamp from Pandas library itself. Okay. Now let's see different example. I want to create some dates on basis of some range with help of my time zone, right? So if you want to take D2, we will be using the same function that date range with help of toDateTime function, right? Pandas dot toDateTime function, right? Pass the same date. Okay. This is a different way to generate dates. Even I want to specify time zone, okay, then localize, right? So here as a time zone, I could say that is Asia, okay, and we have Indian time zone that is Calcutta, okay. You can specify any of the time zone if you want to print. Similarly, I want to specify the end date. So you are saying end date, and that would end on 15th of January, right? And this is time zone, okay. Print, then you will get the same date range, right? You see, date ranges is same, but the additional thing which you are getting containing a time zone also, right? You see 5:30. It's a Asia Calcutta time zone. Okay. I want to create some specific number of dates. That is also possible here, right? pd dot date range, specific periods, right? Let's say I want to generate 8 dates, so I'll be passing periods equals to 8, right? So 8 dates would be generated. Let's print D3, run the program. So you will see here 8 dates are generated. You see 1, 2, 8. Okay. If you want to specify a range with periods, that is also possible, right? So it will generate random dates. Let's say I'm saying 15th. I'm passing range from 1 January to 15th, and I want to generate, let's say, 10 dates, right? So it will distribute 10 dates in this range. Okay. During the program, so you will see your 10 dates are generated. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, and 15, right? So in this range only we could generate it 10 dates, right? If you want to set 5, then you will get 5 dates, okay? In this range only, right? So you are getting your 5 dates, right? Let's see another example. If you want to create dates where frequency is specified like end of month, so that is also possible. D4, D4, I'm saying just start from this date. Period would be 5 and then frequency would be month end, right? So frequency would be ME means month end, right? If you're in the program, so you will get that is month end date 31st January and then 29th February, okay? And then 31st March and then 30th April, right? So we are saying that is month end, right? And how many dates? 5. It generated 5 dates. You can set this frequency with help of Pandas offset property, make it 5, and then instead of passing this hardcode value, you just say your Pandas library alias dot offset you can use, and then you can use a month and function, right? You can see month and function. Okay, so month and function would be, let's say, your two, each two month end functions. Printing D5, then you will see. So alternative months, it printed the date, right? So it started from 31st January, second date is 31st of March, and then it printed the 31st May, and then it skipped June, then it is July, 31st July. So that way it goes. If you make it 3, so it will take 3 as a step in the month, right? So it will skip 3 months. It is a starting date and it skipped 3 months, right? Then it went to 4, that is April. So this is another way to set the frequency with help of month end, or even you say month begin. Okay, we have month begin. There are so many methods you can use yourself, okay, and see how they help you. If you see, it's a starting of the month, right? You see the 1st of April and then 1st of July and then 1st of October, right? That way it goes. Okay, this is month begin. Let's see another example. If you want to specify time zone also with start and end date, that is also possible, right? So let me take D6, print D6. Okay. So I wanted to set the time zone explicitly, right? In string. So I'm saying Asia and Calcutta. Or this time we can use maybe anything. Let's say Tokyo we can use. So this time a Tokyo time zone will be printed with the date. Let's end the program. Dates with Tokyo time zone, right? You see? Okay. So this is how we can generate dates with help of date range function. Guys, in this video, we will be learning truncate function in Python, how we can use truncate function over data frames or series in Pandas library. I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. As you know, truncate means removing something. So with truncate function, we truncate a series or a data frame before and after some index value. Let's implement how we can use truncate function. We have to import pandas, that is the alias. I have some code handy to save some time. So this is a data frame we are going to create, and here we will be performing operations, right? Here we have 3 columns and 5 rows. This is called a dictionary, right? And this dictionary has been passed to this data frame, and then data frame is created in this object, right? If you want to print it, so you will see some rows and columns. Okay, so we have 3 columns and we have 5 rows, right? So we will be using truncate function first on data frame, right? Then we will be seeing how we can use truncate function on series, right? So if I type in tf dot truncate, so you will get one function that is asking few argument. If you see the documentation of this function, so it is saying truncates a series or data frame before and after some index value. So you can see the before truncate all rows before this index value, after truncate all rows after this index value. We have axis 0 for index, 1 for column, that is optional. Access to truncate rows by default, otherwise it will take column, right? Okay, copy if you want to get the copy of truncated data, right? I have to say before, that is my second index. After we have, let's say 3. Okay, so here we will be taking a result object to store our truncated data, and then we will printing, okay, result 1. If you run the program, so you will see your rows before index 2 are deleted, right? 0 and 1 rows is deleted, and after 3 even we have deleted this row. Okay, if you want to use axis, so by default axis 0 means we are removing rows, so it will not change anything in the output, it is same as previous. If you make it 1, which means we are removing columns, right? If you want to specify the index explicitly, that can also be done. So we are saying for 5 we want to specify our index. Okay, so instead of 0 to 4, so index would be creating from 1 to 5, right? If you're in the program again, so you see before 2, first row is deleted, and after 3, right? Fourth and fifth row is deleted now. If you make it before 3 and after 4, which means fifth row will be deleted, and even first and second row will be deleted. Only 3 and 4 will be shown. If you're in the program again, so you will get third and fourth row. Okay. Now, if you want to truncate columns from a data frame, that is also possible. Instead of axis 0, you have to specify columns. Okay. And then you just say before A column, after B column, right? You will be getting only 2 columns here. Run the program again. The columns will be removed, right? You see, all rows are printed, but C column is removed. Before A, we have no column, and after B, we have only C columns, that is now truncated. Okay, so this is how we can remove columns from a data frame. If you want to remove rows from series, that is also possible. S1 equals to data frame. I'll be using a column B, right? I want to truncate, right? Before 2 and after, let's say 4, right? That would be truncated. If you're in the program again, so here in the output, you could see before 2, we have deleted 1 row, right? And after 4, we have deleted 5th row, right? 2 rows are deleted. Okay. I have one more scenario. Instead of passing index 1 to 5, I wanted to pass my index as a date. So that is also possible. Pandas date range function will be using. Here you have to pass on your start value. It would be starting from 1st January 2024. I'm passing periods 5 rows. Frequency would be in seconds, means S. Okay. Some dates in datetime index if you're in the program. So here you will see we have few dates generated in form of datetime index. The frequency is second, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4 second, right? A date is same. Okay, so we have generated 5 dates. Instead of passing index 1 to 5, we are passing index as date d1. Okay, and we are going to remove this code, and now we will print our data, right? If you run the program again, so you will get your all 3 columns as it is, but the index is changed from integer value to the date, right? Now we can use truncate function on this index. Okay, so I'm going to take result data frame dot truncate. So we have before, we'll be passing some date, and after we'll be passing date. So here we are saying before this date, just truncate the data and after this state, right? So this way index can be used in truncate function. Okay, print result 1 and run the program. So you will see this row is truncated and even this row also truncated, right? So you see only 3 rows are printed as per these before and after. Okay, right? If you want to get more details on date range function, you can watch the previous video. Instead of passing date range like this, you can set your index in string list as well. So I'm going to set that is row 1, row 2. So this way you can also set your string type of index and here before row 2 and after. If you run the program, you deleted first row, okay, and you deleted fourth and fifth row, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas series slicing in Python. Before getting started with any of the implementation for series str slicing, we need to have a basic understanding of Python string slicing, right? However, I will recall the basic understanding of Python string slicing here in these tutorials. But if you want to get more details on Python string slicing, then you can refer a separate video on this topic in the description box. So I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer, right? If we say series.str.slicing, this method is used to slice substring from a string present in Pandas series object. It is very similar to Python's basic principle of slicing object that works on start, stop, step, which means it requires 3 parameters: where to start, where to end, and how much element to escape, right? As I said, that is basic Python string slicing. Okay. So first we will cover basic string slicing. From a string, we have two approaches in string slicing. The first is use slice method. Second one, we can use array slicing technique. Okay. So let me take a simple string here, that is str1. This is my basic string. I want to get some substring on this str1. So we'll use slice method. You can see this slice. If you see the documentation of slice method, so it will show you where to start, where to stop, and how many index you want to escape rise as a step. Okay. So I'll be passing, I wanted to start from index 1, index 10, and my step would be 1, which means I don't want to skip any of the index, right? If you print s1 with slicing, right, so you will get your substring value, right? It started from first index, it started from o and ended on s, right? That is the 10th index of this string, right? As a step we have passed only one, which means all character we want, right? If you set 2, then it will give you alternative character from this string, right? We started o, then we get I, then we get G, then we get E, then we get S, right? We have another way to do right slicing. Now let's see its documentation again, and we are saying we can use stop, right? I want to stop at 10, so it will give you the substring till 10, right? So it started from 0 and then it went on, till S. So we got coding news, right? It works from left to right, but if you want to make it right to left, then create S2 minus 12, you print S2, right? So you will see it will start from end, right? You see, so this is how we can get a substring from right to left. If we talk about other way of slicing, that is array slicing, we can represent our array slicing in other format like str1, and then we can use this technique. I wanted to start from 1, I wanted to end on 10, my step would be 1. So that is how it works. This is array slicing. If you say my output is printed, it started from O, which is first index, and it stopped at 10, that is S, and my step is 1, which means I want all characters. If you make this step is 2, how many characters you want to skip, it will skip characters accordingly, right? You see, this is the output. Okay. Now we will use this slicing technique in series str.slice method. Okay, let me remove all this code, run the program again. My output window is clear. Now you can import your pandas library if you have installed it on your computer, and then you can use slice method. Okay, so I want to create a very simple series, that is my s1 pd dot series function I'll be using. Okay, and here I wanted to pass my string as list, right? If you print it s1, if you get the type of s1, so you will see in the output we have very simple string, right? In the output you see one column, it's a row index. Okay, if we see the type of the object, that is series. Now here the point is we wanted to use the slice function on this s1 series, so we'll say s1 dot str dot slice. Okay, from where we wanted to start, we wanted to start from 0, we wanted to end on 3, and we don't want to skip any of the character, right? If you run the program, then you will get your output on each cell, right? You see, coding became code, news became new, and today became toad, right? We can use the slice method in a different way. The first is we can just use start. I want to start from 1. Okay, I wanted to stop at 2, that is a different output, and I wanted to make a step, right? That is 1. Okay, so you will get your output in a different way for 3 statements if you're in the program again. So it will in this first output it will start from 1. So you say it started from O, it started from E, right? And that way it goes, right? In the second, it wanted to stop at 2, means it will start from 0 and it will stop at 2. So we got 2 characters only here, right? You see, for a step we got all the values because we started from 0 index, we went to the end of the index, and step is 1, right? If you want to make step is 2, then it will give you the alternative characters, right? You see, CD and NW TDY. Okay, let's say I have a data frame, and in the data frame I have some series. So on those series, how we will perform a slice function? So I have some code handy to save some time. This is a dictionary, right? We have 5 rows, we have 5 columns, right? We are going to create a data frame, and that from the data frame we are going to get a one series, and on that series we are going to apply a slice function. Okay, so do it quickly. And I have a data frame. I'll be passing this dictionary, right? And then we'll print first data frame. Okay, just to see our data in rows and column. Okay, so we have 5 columns. Here we are going to pick one series, right? Any of the series, and then we will be performing this slice function. Okay, so I'm going to take a one series, that is my days. Okay, and then we are going to apply a slice function. Okay, and our step would be 1, right? So let me print. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get your one series. You see d d d d, right? That is why, because it started from 0, it is stopped at this character, right? You want to stop at 3, so you will get more characters here. Okay, right? If you're in the program again, so you will get all 3 characters, right? As per your slicing values, right? So this is the str. Okay, it applies on string type of values only, right? This slice function. Let's see one more scenario. For example, this series is based on string type, so on a string type only we can apply slice function. But we have a one series that is based on integer value, so how we will overcome this issue, right? How we can use slice function then? So first we have to convert this sales series from integer to the string. How we will do that? So let me create a copy. As type function, we will be performing on that, and we will be saying convert into str, right? And then we can use str dot slice. Okay, this is the same thing. Start from 0 and on 3, step is 1, right? If you print it, you will get the output, right? So that should be sales. Okay, run the program again. We got the value as it is because the slicing techniques which we have used here, that contains all the characters from the value. If I want to start from 1, if you run the program again, you will get 33, 55, 66, 76. The first character of this value has been removed from this slicing. Okay, so this is how we can use slice function on data frame series or a simple series, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning ILoc function in Python. ILoc function allows you to access specific rows and columns of a data frame by providing the integer based indices. Let's implement it, right? First, we have to import pandas. We will be creating sample data frame to use ILoc function. So I have some code handy to save some time. So this is one dictionary. Okay, it has 3 columns and 3 rows, right? What is the type of this object? Then you will get it's a Python dictionary, right? If you're in the program, so it will show you it's a Python dictionary, right? So with help of this dictionary, we will be creating a data frame, and then on this data frame, we will be performing select operation with help of ILoc function. Okay. So first let's create a data frame. That would be data frame. We have to pass on dictionary, right? It will create a new data frame, right? If you want to get the type of this object, we can print it as well. Run the program. So one new data frame is created in the output window. You see, we have days, sales, country. Okay, we have 3 columns and 3 rows. So this is showing the index of each row, right? So we'll be using this index with ILoc function. Okay, so let's see first index of ILoc function. Okay, so I have some statement, right? The syntax of ILoc function. If you see, it's a data frame, right? It's a ILoc function. If you notice here, so we have 2 parameters over here. One, this is the one parameter, this is the second parameter, right? Rows index is this one, 0 to 2, and the column index we have default 0, 1, and 2. Let me remove it. As you can see, it's a data frame. For example, I want to get 2 rows and all columns. Then in this case, what we'll do, we have data frame dot iloc function, and then I will be using from where we want to start. So we want to start with 0 index, and we want to end, let's say 2, and for column we want all column. Okay, so if you do not specify anything, so we have to use this brackets. By mistake I've taken this, so I want this row, and then we'll be printing s1. Okay, so what iloc function will return, it will return 2 rows, all columns, right? Means we will be getting 2 rows and all 3 columns. You run the program, so you will get a 0 and 1. These are 2 row, right? This argument specifies the integer position of ending rows for selection, right? Ending rows number is 2. It means we are getting 2 rows. If you make it 3, so it will return all 3 rows, right? Okay, you get all 3 rows. If you do not provide anything, still it will give you all rows, right? You see, if I want to get only one, means I will be starting from 0 and I would be ending on 2, right? Means days and sales column would be returning, right? If you're in the programs, you will getting only 1 row with 2 columns. You see? Okay, so that is how it works. This AND row specifies the integer position of ending row. Similarly, this specify the integer position of the ending column, right? Not this way, 0, 1, 2, right? Not this way. So it's a ending position of the column. It's a ending position of the row, okay? Right? If you want to make 1, so it will give you sales. Okay, if you want to make it 1, then it will give you only single column, right? Let's say if you want to select the specific row and a specific column value, then this can also be done with the help of loc function. So we will be taking as 2 and then data frame ILoc first row and first column. Okay, which means it will give us the second row and this second column, right? This value would be printed for 55, right? If you're in the program, so you will get the value as 455. Okay, we have one more case with ILoc function, that is the step, right? To slice rows and columns from data frame, you can use ILoc function with a step value for rows and column position, right? Okay, so how we can do it? New object data frame dot ILoc, right? So we'll be using all rows, all columns. We are saying as a first argument of ILoc, we are saying starting row would be 0. It will print till end, but the second column means we are taking a step, right? I want every second row. Okay, similarly second argument, I want to start column from 0 to the end, right? But another column, I want all columns to be stepped with some number, that's it 2. So every 2 columns it will print. The output will be, it will print this row, it will print this first row and third row. As a column, it would print this column and this column, right? So if you print S3, you will get the output. Okay. If you see, we are getting first row, right? We are getting first row and we are getting third row, right? This row. And for column, we are getting first column and third column because we are saying the step is 2 for both row and column. If I make another column more, so I have added new column and even I want to add one more row, right? And this is fourth row for us, right? If you want to add one more column, right? Reason and code, right? I have added one row, add two new columns. So now let's run the program. You will see the output as per this statement, right? We have 5 columns and 4 rows. Okay, every second row, right? Means every second row here 1 2, right? In the column we are getting each second column, right? So 1 2 1 2 and then code, right? So these columns are eliminated. If you want every third column you want, okay, if you're in the program, so every third means 1 2 3, so this third. Okay, so this is how ILoc function works. The last thing, if you want to apply a lambda expression, okay, or lambda function with ILoc function, so that can also possible, right? If you want to get only those rows where index is even, as for I'm taking, we have to say lambda and then we have to pass on the parameter that is row, and we are saying x dot index, and we are applying the formula to get even number. So it will give you the rows where index value is even. Okay, if you print s4, then you will get only 2 rows, right? So you see 0 and 2 index, right? 0 and 2s because their value is even. Okay, if you want to say like it should not even, so we will be getting 1 and third row of this index, right? If you're in the program again, so you are getting 1 and 3. So this is how ILoc function works. We have seen how to create a data frame with help of dictionary. We have seen how we can use slicing with help of ILoc function, and then we see how we can use lambda expressions in ILoc function. Okay, in this video we will learn how to set the index of data frame using existing columns or a list of labels, right? As you know, data frame is a tabular structure in the Python Pandas library. It represents each row and column by the label, right? So row label is called an index, whereas column label is called column index or header. So I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer, right? Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. While creating a data frame, Python pandas assign a range of number starting at 0 as a row index. Row index are used to identify each row. So we will be using set index function to set the indexes again. Okay. So let's start implementation. If you have installed pandas library, you can use it. Import pandas. I have some code handy to save some time. I have one dictionary code. Okay. So we will be creating a one data frame now. We'll be using pandas alias dot data frame student dictionary. Okay. Now print the data frame. Okay. So you will get your data frame ready, right? You have three columns and three rows, right? By default, index is created to identify each row, right? It starts from 0 to the end. Okay, let's say r1 new variable, and then we will data frame dot set index we'll be using. Here we can pass on any of the name of our series. Let me pass on name first. Okay, and then we will print r1. Okay, so here the output would changed from this integer index to name. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get your index is changed and now name has been converted to the row index, right? So you can identify this row from this index. Okay, we can also give a list of labels which can be string or numbers to data frame dot set index function. Okay, to set a new index in the data frame. How we can do it? If you want to create a simple index, instead of this, if you want to create your custom index, the pandas dot index function can be used. We can say my first row, my second row, this is upper index. Okay, here instead of passing this column name, we can use this index, right? You can take any name of this variable, right? Your index would be changed from this name to this one. Okay, if you're in the program again, you will get your index are changed, right? R1, R2 and R3. Okay, if you want to set multiple columns as row labels, we can do this as well, right? Instead of passing index like this, and okay, if you're in the program, so you will see your index is now converted from single column to multiple column, right? Name and age now became row index. Okay, these are row label index, we can say. Okay, there is one case if you want to use both, like this index and this column as well together, that is also possible. So here you can use name as it is, and you can say this index one to be used for second index, right? Okay, this is also possible here if you're in the program. Now let's see how to set multi-index using two Python series, right? When you want to replace the existing index with the multiple new series rather than these existing columns. So we can create such a multi-index data frame by assigning new series, right? Using this set index function. Okay, how we can do this? So for example, I have a series. Okay, let me comment this out. I have a series s1 and pd.series, and then let's say I'm take 1 2 3. I want to use this series as an index, right? So this is also possible. If you remove this name, column name, and you take it s1, okay, and let's say you want to make any custom logic on your s1, that is also possible. If you want to create another row index on basis of s1, so that is, can say s1 make a square for in the program again. So you will get your two column as a row index, and first is 1 2 3 that we have created here, and second one 1 4 9, that is another row label index which is based on first index, right? If you want to use python range function here for your index, that is also possible. For example, I am removing this. Okay, and here for index 1 I want to use the range function, right? The python range function that would start from 1, that will stop at 4, and the step would be 1, right? So this is also possible. Let me use index 1 like this. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will see your 1 2 and 3 is now generated, right? We have one argument here on set index. If you see the documentation, so that will show you the one argument, that is drop. Okay, if you make drop true, then it will delete columns to be used as a new index, right? If you want to set your any of the column, any of the series as an index, and you want to keep your index as it is in the data frame, let me remove it. Okay, so I'm going to take my name column to be indexed, right? If you're in the program, and the name column has been removed from your actual data, right? Okay. But if you want to keep your column as it is in your data frame, you can make it drop false, right? It will not drop your column. If you run the program again, so you will see your column is still there, right? You see, if you make it true, then it will drop your column and it will create your index, right? You see, okay, column is removed from here. If you want to create a one row index on basis of multiple values, multiple column values, that is also possible with help of append parameter in set index function. Okay, if you see the documentation again, then you will see this append argument is there. So what is saying, it is saying whether to append columns to existing index, right? Which means if you want to make your index customized on basis of multiple columns, that is also possible. I'm just saying index, this is my index. Okay, so this is my index, let's say row 1, okay, row 2, row 3, right? So this is my index for each row. Okay, so set index removed your first row index, okay, and it became name as a index. Okay, so if you want to see your old index and your new index into the one column append, you have to make it true. Okay, if you run the program again, then you will see a one row index, okay, with two values. You see, you have appended your existing index with the new one. Okay, we have one argument in place that should either true or false, which means if in place is true, then it updates the existing data frame and does not return anything, right? If in place equals to false, right, then it creates a new data frame with updated changes and return it, right? By default it is false. If we make in place true and run the program, so it will not return you anything, rather it will apply the operation on the existing data frame, right? In place true means it is not going to return anything, even it reflected the existing data frame. Okay, if you print the data frame, then you will get your updated data frame, right, with new indexes. Okay, you see, right? If you make it false, then it will not show you the updated data frame like this. It will show you the previous one which we just created here, right? If you run the program again, so you will get your previous data frame. Did you get it? If you make it in place false, then you have to take a copy here, right, and then print. Then it work. Okay, then you will get the updated data frame, right, after using set index. Okay, this way. If we set our index using a column with duplicates value, then there is a problem, right? Okay, I have removed it and I'm taking my name column as a index. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will see your previous data. For example, you have any series which is having duplicate values, then it will create a problem, right? Then let me take John as a duplicate value. If you're in the program, you will not get any error, right? It will keep using your row index as it is. But if you want to check whether your row index is having a duplicate value, then we have to set one argument that is verifying integrity, which you are setting as a true. This will raise you the error, right, exception. If you're in the program again, so it will show you that your values in this series which you have taken as a row index are duplicate, right? You see, index has duplicate key, right? To make sure whether your index is unique, you can use verify integrated as a true, right? It will not allow you to have any of your series as an index which are having duplicate values. Okay, if you make it false, it will allow, right? You see, so we have seen multiple cases here with set index function. Guys, in this video, we will be learning loc versus ILoc function in Python. These both functions comes from Pandas library. What is the difference between loc and ILoc function? As you know, loc and iloc functions are commonly used to select certain group of rows and columns of a pandas data frame. To explore these function differences, we will be using one sample data frame. We will be importing Pandas library. I have some sample code handy to save some time. We are now getting which type of data it is. That is a Python dictionary if you're in the program. So you will see it's a dictionary type, right? We have not yet created any data frame so far. It is just a dictionary, right? We have 5 keys here, and according to their keys they have a list of values, right? So you can say it will create a data frame. Let me create a data frame and then a data frame that will create a data frame with the help of this dictionary, right? So if you print the data frame, so it will convert this data into rows and columns, right? We'll be getting its type as well, right? The frame saying type and df, right? Just to make sure whether which type of object this is, right? You're in the program, so you will see your this dictionary in form of rows and columns. You see 5 columns we have and we have 4 rows. So to perform some operation, we have to set our index first on this data frame. So what we can do, data frame dot set index, that is one function we have to use days, right? And in place we have to set as true, which means we are again modifying our data frame. We are resetting its index. That's why we have used in place true, right? If we want to select a row on a basis of a day's value, then you can do very easily, right? So if you print the data frame again, then you will get the output. So your index column is changed now, right? It is day 1, day 2, day 3. While before setting the index, it was by default 0 to 3, right? Integer index we got by default, right? Now we can start our comparison of loc and iloc function to select the first row on some specific value. So what we can do, we can just say data frame dot loc. So what you are saying here, you are specifying a row label and you will get your row. So your this row you will get entirely, right? All columns value you will get, right? You will get the sales 455, country UK, region west, and code is C2. Okay, so this is the row which you are getting, right? This is called a indexing using a row label. On the other hand, if you want to get this row with help of iloc function, so what you have to provide, you have to say this is iloc and you have to say my row would be second. You're in the program, so you will get the same thing. Okay, 1. So your second row would be printed, right? If you run again, so you will get the same row, right? You see? So this is the output of iloc function. Let's see its type also, what type of data it is returning. Okay, because if you see this is a object type, but we wanted to get it what type of data it is returning. Let's in the program again. So you will get this is a series we are returning. Okay, whatever you are printing from here in this line, so it is a series, right? You see, it's a series for iloc and loc. Okay, but here we have one case. If you want to return this data as data frame, so how you will do? Use the syntax in a different way, right? I want to get this data into a object d1. Okay, and if I print d1, that is fine. Same thing. Similarly, I'll be using d2. Okay, and I'll be printing d2, right? So there is no change. Output will be same. It's the same. Okay, and even we are getting a series, and even you have to say the type of d1, d2, right? And the program again. So this is the same. You want to return a complete data frame, right? And then here as well, so your type would be changed. Okay, so you will get data frame instead of series, right? If you're in the program, so you will get the return type would be converted into data frame. You see, that is the second difference. Okay, now let's see other difference. If you want to select multiple rows using a list, so how you can do? So this is your log function. I want to apply multiple values here, right? So I want to get day 2 and day 3, right? Multiple, so that would filter on multiple rows. And here I want first row and third row, right? So you will get multiple rows this way. If you run the program again, so instead of one you will get two rows, right? You see, so day 2 and day 3 row is returned. In ILoc function we have also got second and fourth row, right? Day 4 and day 2, you see day 2 and day 4 rows is now returned. Okay, because index starts from 0, so means it is second row. 3 means it is fourth row. So it is second row and it is fourth row for ILoc function. Now let's see other difference. If you want to use slicing also, so how slicing works with log function. So you want to start your rows from day 1, right? Day 1, and then you want to end your rows on day 3, right? So it will print from here to here. Okay, so this is first how we can use slice with log. And if you want to use slicing with ILoc function, that you will say, from first index to 3 means 1 and 3. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will see for log function, this is the output day 1 to day 3, right? So it is started from day 1 to day 3. Okay, so this is the output for log. Okay, for ILoc, we are saying it should start from 1, 2, and it should stop to 3. Okay, which means again day 2 and day 3. Okay, so it is start from day 2 and then it stop at 3, means this is the ending position of row, means this is a third row, right? Let's see another case. If you want to get a specific cell value, right? You want this cell value, right? So this is a column index 0 and a row index is 1. So how you will say here? So for log function, so your row would be day 2. Okay, so this would be your row, and then your column would be the sales. So this column, right? So you are saying instead of column, you say this is your sales column. So you will get a specific value, right? So this value you will get, right? And for ILoc function, so the same thing you will say your row would be 1, okay, comma, and your column would be 0, okay, right? So you will get 455, the value for both the cases, right? If you're in the program, so you will get 455 for log and 455 for ILoc. Okay, both are type of numpy integer, right? Another difference, if you want to get multiple cells at the same time, so how we can do? So I want days 2 and days 3 as well, and I want the value of sales for both the cells, means 455 and 566. Then how we can do? So we can use multi dimensions. We can pass on multiple rows and columns in form of list. So we can say day 3 and my column would be sales only, right? Right? In the ILoc function, you are saying I want to get one and second row, right? And then as a column, I want 0 column, that is my sales column, right? So this is the way how we can get multiple cells value the same time. So you're in the program, so you will get 455 and 566, even 455 and 566. Okay, if you get, so we have two rows, one column. If you want to get one more column with this, you want to get sales and you want to get country as well. You will get country. You want to get one more column, so you will say 0 and first column. Okay, run the program, so you will get two columns, right? The country column also you are getting in your output. Okay, guys, In this video, we will be learning Pandas Series.apply function in Python. What is Pandas Series first, right? I have opened a Excel sheet on my computer. If you see this data, this is a country-based sales data, right? We have rows and columns, right? If you talk about a column, then it is called a series. If you talk about B, this is also a series. And if you talk about columns and rows, so this is called as a data frame, right? So this is the best example to understand what is series and data frame. We are going to create a series that will be depend on country and its sales, right? Let me minimize it. I'm importing pandas. I have to create a new series that would be S1 pandas library dot series function we'll be using. We are going to create some sales value. That way we can take sales value and we can set our index as well, right? Either we can use index argument in series. I'm going to take country's name. If you get the type of S1, then you will see it's a series, right? If I run the program, so you will get a new series, right? That represent country name as index and its sales value, right? Here it's a type of series you can see, right? With help of this type function. Okay. Either you can create index like this. These are row labels, right? If you want to use index in a different way, that is also possible. Let me remove it from here and I can set its attribute index, right? This is the same thing. Okay. If you run the program again, so there is no difference in the output. Okay. Right? Let's see what is series.apply function. Series.apply function actually invokes a function on its value, right? We can use another function. If you want to perform your custom logic on these series values, we are going to calculate the square of these value, right? With help of one function, okay? So I am creating a new function that could be a square, right? We will be taking a value as a argument and then we will return it. Now we can use this square function in s1 dot apply. Okay, if you see the documentation of this function, it will show you that will expect a function, right? So here we are going to use square, right? And then it will apply on each value of this series, right? So we will get square of each value in this output, right? Let me run the program. So you will see the square of each value. There is another way. If you want to do the same thing with help of lambda keyword, that is also possible, right? If I take lambda x and apply square, so this is the same thing, right? If you're in the program again, so you will not see any difference, right? Output would be same, right? So here the output is same. Okay. So both the way you can do, either you can use the square function directly here or you can use lambda expression. Okay. Let's see other argument of apply function. We have arguments args as well, which will take tuple, right? So if you see the documentation of this, right? It is saying positional arguments passed to function after the series value, right? So we can pass on our custom values also in this function. How? Taking square like this, and I want to pass on other values as well. So we have to say argument form of tuple. We can say let me sending 50, okay? But here I have to take this value, right? So I'm saying value 1 and I'll be subtracting this value from square, right? So this way can also use, right? Okay? If you're in the program, so you will see this 50 will be subtracted from this final square, right? See, if you want to pass on another argument, then 60, then you have to say while 2, okay? And then you can say while 2, okay? You can apply any business logic as per your requirement that is going to benefit you, right? If you run the program again, so you will see 50 and 60 first now got added and then got reduced from this square, right? You see, okay? If you do not want to send any of the parameter, if you do not want to apply any logic, you can simply return this x, right? If you're in the program, so you will get your series value as it is, right? You see, both the output is same, right? We are not applying any of the custom logic here in this function, okay? Let's see other argument. We have quarks also, right?
If you want to pass on multiple values, right, with their name, so we can use quarks, right? Instead, so here we are saying quarks, right? And we can apply for, let's say, month, and then we are saying just keep adding whatever value we are passing from here, right? Month. Okay. Here we can say June 20, July 30. Okay. So this way you can pass on your quarks value. Okay. Right. If you're in the program again, so you will get right 20 and 30. 50 is added into your value, right? So it became 150, 200 became 250, 150 became 200, right? This way you can use quarks, right?
Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas DataFrame apply function in Python. In previous video, we have seen how to use apply function on DataFrame series, but here apply function will be used on entire DataFrame rows and columns. It applies a function along an axis of the data frame, right? So it will consider axis also either 0 or 1. Okay, so let me import pandas quickly. We are going to create a new data frame quickly, right? We will be creating two-dimensional array that would be, let me take 4 and 9, and here we will multiply these columns, two columns into three rows, specify our columns as well, right, for our series. Okay, so if you print this data frame, column 1 and column 2 is created as a series, and we have row index here 0, 1 and 2. If you see the type of df object, that is a type of data frame. Okay, here on this data frame we will be using apply function. If you want to calculate the square root of each cell values, so you can easily use a numpy square root function. Okay, and then you can pass this function into apply. So I'm going to import a numpy library, right? If you have not installed numpy library, so same way you have to install numpy library, right? The command is pip install numpy. Okay, so I'm going to take a result object name and then data frame dot apply, right? If you see the apply function documentation, you will see it accepts function argument. Okay, apply a function along an axis of the data frame. Okay, as we said here, the parameters functions to apply to each column or row, right? Axis 0. So here we are going to use numpy dot sqrt function. Okay, and then we will be printing this result object. Okay, so you will get the square root of 4 and 9. Okay, you see square root of 4 is 2 and square root of 9 is 3, right? If you change the value to 36, maybe 6 to 5, then you will get the square root accordingly. Okay, so you will get 6 and 25, right, in float. So this is how this function works. Okay, if you want to do the same thing with help of user-defined function in Python, that is also possible. If you create a new function to calculate a square, so x as a argument, formula is this to calculate a square, right? So here instead of np.sqrt, so I'm going to use sqr, this my user-defined function, right? So it will calculate the square of 36 and 625, right? If you're in the program, so you will get the output as per these values, right? If you make it 6, if you make it 4, so then you will get the square of these values. Okay, you see 36 and 16. Okay, if you want to get the sum of all your columns values, that is also possible. So you have to just say numpy dot sum function we'll be using. Okay, and then we can say the axis would be 0. Okay, which means it will calculate the sum of all the values in a particular column, right? If you run the program, so you will get your column 1 and column 2 by mistake, right? If you're in the program again, so you will get the output, right? 18 and 12, right? Which means 6 plus 6 plus 6, it is 18. 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 20, right?
So column wise you are getting the sum of entire rows, right? You see, if you want to get the sum row wise, so that is also possible like this. Okay, you have to just change here x is equals to 1, which means it is row wise. Okay, you see, your each row is getting a one series, that is a sum of all the cells, right? You can use lambda function here as well, okay, instead of user defined function or built-in functions, right? If you want to get the square of each value, you can use lambda, so that will calculate the square of each cell, right? Okay, you see, this is the same as earlier, right, which we are getting from this function. If you want to pass on your list like array into the apply function, that is also possible, right? That is, we have to remove and 1 and 2 if we want to pass on each cell, and we have to say x is equals to 1, right, which means it is row wise. Okay, so 1 and 2 will be added to your cell, right, but your original columns being removed, right? Here apply function is applying a list like array to your series, right? That is how it is working. Okay, if you want to expand it, if you want to make your each value, right, series wise, that is also possible. You have to use your result type. Okay, that is a one argument in apply function. You have to make it expand, right? So expand. Okay, so your 1 and 2 will be separated into the series, right? If you're in the program, so you will see your two series are created now, right? And even indexes also being assigned to 0 and 1. Okay, there is one case if you want to specify your column name as well instead of this index, so that is also possible. Instead of this hard-coded value, we will be using pd.series, right? And we are saying 1 and 2 the same. Okay, and in this series we will say, so index has to be specified, right? So I'm saying that would be my sales and that would be my country, right? Okay, okay, right, we don't need to expand it then. Okay, if you make it here, run the program, so you will get your column name as well with your series, right, sales and country. But your original columns now being removed, right? You see column 1 and column 2 is no more there, right? Because apply function takes your list like arrays, right, and applies it everywhere. Okay, another case as well, if you want to keep your original column as it is, you only want to replace your series is, okay, series is values, then you have to set your result type, okay, which means it should be a broadcast. Okay, so I'm saying instead of this, let me remove it. Okay, because here we are creating columns name, and here I am saying 1 and 2. Okay, and then here result type has to be broadcast. Okay, so what it will do, it will keep your original column name as it is, but your values will be replaced with these values. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get your original column name. Okay, only we are passing our list like arrays. Guys, in this video, we will learn what are count function in Pandas library and how we can use these function on data frame, series or index. As you know, data frame is a collection of rows and columns. If you want to count columns or rows, let me quickly import Pandas library and then I'll be creating a new data frame. Okay, import Pandas PD. I have some code handy to save some time. Let me paste. This is a pandas alias and we are using data frame, right, which will return us the new data frame. Okay, here we have this dictionary. Okay, here we are creating two columns and four rows, right? We have index as well to identify each row. Okay, let me print the data frame first. So we will be getting rows and columns and the type of this df object, right? If you're in the program, so you will see these data in form of rows and columns. These are columns and these are rows, right? For the index, we have this unique value to identify our each row. Okay. if you see the type of this df object, we are getting data frame, right? Now you want to count your total number of rows in the data frame object. You can easily do it. You have to just say df.count function if you're in the program, so you will get number of rows as per your columns, right? Math columns has four count 1 2 3 4, and science has 3 1 2 3, right? If we look at the documentation of count function, so you will see we have axis, right? Which means you can apply your count function either on row or columns, right? By default, this is 0, means we are counting our rows. Okay. If you make your axis 1, so it will count number of columns, right? Student index has 2 count 1 2, student 2 also, student 3 has 1 because it excluded the null value. Okay. After excluding null value, it counted the number of columns, right? If you want to add a new column, marks 80, if you're in the program again, so you will see your count will be changed, right? So instead of 2, we are getting now 3 because number of columns are now getting increased. Okay. Here still we have 1 because there are 2 columns which is having null value. That's why it took 1. Okay. If either of these two values we put some values, then our count will be increased, right? Increase from 1 to 2. Okay. So that is how this count function works. Axis 1 means we are counting columns. Axis 0 means we are counting rows. Okay. Right. Now let's see what is value underscore count function. Let me make this example more easier. I have to remove this row. Okay. If you're in the program again, so you are getting two rows which are having same values on each cell, right? 12. So if I use value underscore count function, which means it will return a series containing the frequency of each distinct row in the data frame. Okay. It will return distinct row in the data frame with their count. If you're in the program, so you will get you are 12 and 12. So it is twice on these indexes. So it counted 2, right? We have 1 and 34, which means it has 1, and student 3, this index has been excluded from here. If you see the documentation, so we have one parameter that is drop NA. Its default value is true. Don't include counts of rows that contains NA value, right? That's why we are not getting this count for this row. Okay. If you make drop NA equals to false, right? So you will get this row count as well. For this unique row, it counted 1, right? If you want to sort your data also, that is also possible. If you make this as a sort equals to true, so it will sort your output. Okay. If you're in the program, so it will show in descending order. Okay. 2 and 1. Okay. If you make it false, the data as it is generated means in ascending order 1 and 2, right? So your row order is now changed. We have one more parameter that is ascending, right? You see ascending. If you make it true, so it will sort your data in ascending orders in the program again. So you will see it is already sorted in ascending order. If you make it false, we don't want in ascending order, then you will get your reverse order, right? Okay. Let's see other parameter as well. If you see the normalize, which means return proportion rather than a frequency, right? If you copy and paste, means normalize equals to true, which means instead of getting count value, you will get a proportion of each unique row, right? If you're in the program, so you will see the proportion of this row is 0.3 and 0.66, right? Which means this 12 and 12 is twice. Okay. That's why its proportion is 0.66, right? 0.33, which means it is only once, right? In the data. Okay. If you make this duplicate, right? The 34, okay, 34 and this 34, right? Then your proportion will be changed, right? 0.5 and 0.5. Okay. So this is how it is working, and even the count has also been changed 2 and 2, right? If you want to apply this count value count on the particular series, that is also possible. For example, math So that will count, right? If you're in the program, so it will only count maths, right? How many rows are duplicate, right? If you see 12, so it is twice, 34 is twice in math, okay? If you change the data, let me make 1, 1, 2, so 12 would be 1, right? Because 12 is only once here in this data, 34 is twice, 34 has 2, 12 has 1, and 112 has 1, right? Now move to our next point, how we can apply count and value underscore count function on series, right? So I have two series handy to save some time, that is S1 and S2. If you apply S dot count, so you will get the number of rows in this series, right? If you run the program, so you will get 5, right? Which means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It excluded null value, okay? If you see the documentation, so it will show you return number of known null values in the series, right? Because this series function will return a series, and on series we are applying count function, right? Which will return non-nullable values count, right? 5, okay? Put S1, then it will return again 5, right? Because we have 5 rows, right, in this series, okay? But if you apply value underscore counts on series, which is again, it will return series containing counts of unique values, right? If you apply the value underscore count, okay, if you run the program again, so in your S1, so it will show you your values are 3 is twice in this one, 1 is once, right? 2 is once, and 4 is again once, right? If you remove this one and you count the value of S object, so your output would be change. So 3 is twice again, 1 is 1, 2 is 1, 4 is 1. It excluded these nullable values, okay? If you see the documentation, excludes NA value by default, okay? Again, we have few parameters, right? Normalize, short, ascending, bins. Bins we have extra here, okay? Drop NA. So all parameters you can use in the same way as you have used in DataFrame, okay? Now let's see index, right? Index returns object containing counts of unique value. Again, the resulting object will be in descending order so that the first element in is the most frequent occurring element, right? Excludes NA value by default, okay? I have some index already ready with me. I'll print run the program. So you will see your indexes, right? These are created, okay? And if you apply the value count, so it will return you the unique rows, right? 3 has 3 times, and 2 1 and 4 only once, right? If you make 2 again, so your 2 count would be changed, right? You see, 2 count is changed, right? If you see the documentation, so again we will be getting the same thing, right? Normalize, right? You can use sort, ascending, bins, and drop NA, right? You can use these things. We have seen how we can use count and value underscore count function on data frame, series, and index. Okay, guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas data frame sorting functions in Python. So we will learn what is sort value function and what is sort index function. As you know, data frame is nothing but a collection of rows and columns. You can take an example of Excel sheet. We have rows and we have columns. Okay. So let's see what is sort values function. So we will first quickly import a Pandas library and NumPy library. Okay. PD as a alias, we will import NumPy. I have some code handy to save some time, which will create a new data frame, right? So we have pd.dataframe that is coming from Pandas library. Okay, these are our 4 columns where we have 6 rows. Okay, if you run the program, so you will see rows and columns, right? 4 columns we have, column 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have 6 rows. Okay, this is the index to identify row. This is automatically generated by this data frame function. Okay. NumPy library we are using to get a null value, right? Data frame object name, sort values. If you see the documentation of this function, so you will see we have these many arguments. Sort by the value along either axis, right? Column name can be specified either in string or it could be a list of string, right? It is returning a data frame. So I'm going to say by equals to col1, right? And then we will get the result into one object, okay? Then we will print it, right? If you're in the program, so you will see your data is sorted on column 1, right? This is ascending order. We have A, B, C, and D. While in the initial data frame, we had A, B, N, D, and C, right? Which means our data frame is now sorted on basis of column 1, okay? If you see the type of this result object, what is the type of it? So you will see it would be a data frame, okay? If you're in the program, so you will see it is a data frame. If you want to apply your sorting on multiple columns, then we can pass it in list format, right? That is my column 1, that is my column 2, right? It will execute in ascending order, right? If you're in the program again, so now your sorting would be applied on 2 columns, right? Which means in AA, right, we have 1 and 2, while in the initial data frame we had 2 and 1. Okay, so our sorting is now applied on column 1 and column 2, right? It is ascending order. If you want to use in place as a false, which means it will return you the data which is sorted, right? In place means it is returning the sorted data. If you make it true, it will not return you anything, right? Rather, operation will be applied on the data frame object itself, right? We have nothing in result now after using in place true, but if you print your df again, then df would be sorted. If you're in the program, so you will get your sorted data frame because you have set in place true. If you make it false, so your data frame would be shown as your initial data frame, right? If you're in the program, so you will see this data and this data would be same. Okay, let me remove this, right? Even this as well. If you want to set your order as a descending, you can set ascending as false, right? Which means it is in descending order, right? If you're in the program, so your data would be shown in descending order, right? First sorted in descending, right? Column 1 and column 2, DCA, and then column 2 is also set as descending, right? 2, 1. Previously we were getting 1 and 2. Okay. Let's see other argument, that is a kind. So that is to specify a algorithm name, quick sort, merge sort, heap sort, stable, right? If you see the documentation, so in kind we have a sorting algorithm, right? You must be knowing these terms: quick sort, merge sort, heap sort, stable, right? So you can specify your kind as per your need, right? If you want to specify heap sort, we can use merge sort, right? So your output would still be the same. We have specified a specific algorithm, okay? It will depend on which data you are dealing with, what is your requirement, so you can use accordingly the kind, okay? Let me remove this. We have one more argument, that is NA position, which means null value position. Either it should be first or last. Show me the null value at first and then apply sorting. You're in the program, so you will see your NA values rows would be first and then sorting will be applied, right? You see, okay? If you make it last, so your null values row would be at last. Before that, your sorting would be applied, okay? So that is how this NA position works. If you want to apply the order of sorting in form of list, that is also possible. If you see, we have 2 columns to be sorted and we want to specify the order as per our column sequence. So you can put it this way, false, and for second column you can say 2, right? So the first position say the ascending order would be false, but for second column the ascending order would be true, right? If you run the program again, so your ascending order would be true, right? 1, 2, but for column 1, ascending is false, which means we are getting the descending order, right? From D to A, okay? But in AA set, we have ascending true, that is 1 and 2, okay? Let's see other parameter. If you notice, if you see the documentation, ignore index. By default, it is false, right? Default is false, means you will get your index as it was created initially. If you make it true, then your resulting index will be changed from 0 to your nth position, okay? So let me remove NA position last and make it ignore index set to true, which means I want to relabel my index, right? Here, if you see, we have index as per our sorting data, but if you want to make it your label from 0, then it will be regenerated, right? If you run the program, so you will see your data is still sorted, but your labels are changed, right? From 0 to 5. Okay, if you make it false, so it would show you as it was original, right? You see. Now let's see what is key argument. We have key argument, that is again a series which you will return, but you can use your any anonymous function and set your key, create your series, right? How it works? Let me remove this argument. Okay. So what I want, let me make it column 4, right? It is single string. Okay. Let me remove all this and I will keep a single column for sorting, and then I'll be using key. That would be my new series. But before my new series gets generated row after row, I want to use one lambda function, and then here I have a column for lambda, and then that column I would say my str should be lower. So first it will convert my value, each value into the lowercase, because if you see the column 4, we are going to apply sorting. Before that, we wanted to convert our value into lowercase, and then we want to apply our sorting, right? So that is how this key function works. If you run the program, then you will see, so your data is now sorted. Okay. Now let's see what is sort index function. I have some code handy to save some time, right? This is again new data frame. Let me make it df1. Okay, if you print this df1, so we have one column and we have 5 rows, right? So df1, run the program. You will see this is a one column and we have specified our customized index, right? Okay, if you want to use sort index function will apply sorting on this index itself. df1 dot sort index, right? If you print your df1, and in place has to be true, right? Because it will apply the sorting on the original object and then print it, right? If you run the program, right, so you will see your index would be sorted, right? You see 1 2 2 3 4, right? Okay, see the documentation of sort index. So these are the same thing as we were getting in our sort values function, right? If you want to apply ascending, right, false, so data would be in descending order, right? If you run the program, so you will get your last value on the top, right? You see, right? So you can use all these parameters with sort index function as well. So we have seen data frame sorting functions in Python, we have seen sort values, we have seen sort index, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas series sorting function in Python. We have two functions, sort values, sort index, right? As you know, Pandas series is nothing but a column where we have multiple rows, or you can say we have multiple values. For example, you can take an Excel there is one column and we have n number of rows in that column, right? So let me create a quick series here. I have to install first pandas. I'll also import numpy to get some null value, right? We will be creating a new series, right? We'll be using pd.series function and then we will be saying np.nan. Okay, if you run the program, you will see the output as this series, right? Okay, if you want to apply the sort values function, you can easily do that as dot sort values, right? If you take the output of this result, so you will get the output. So you will get the output in ascending order, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then null value. Okay. If you want to make it ascending false, so you can use one parameter, right? False means we will be getting descending order, right? If you run the program, so you will get your top value at first, right? You see 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. It is decreasing order, right? If you see the documentation of sort values for series, so these arguments seems to be the same as we were getting on data frame sort value function, right? We have ascending, in place, kind, na position, ignore indexes, and key, right? So same parameters you can use, but you have to watch the previous video, that is data frame dot sort function. Okay, if you want to use na position, you can use null value either should be first or it should be at last. So let me make it last. So it is already last if you're in the program, so there is no impact, right? If you make it first, then it will shown at first positions, right? You see your null value would be first, then your sorting will be applied. If you put one more null value at last, np.nan, right? So then your null values rows would be shown at first, you see, right? And then your sorting is applied. Okay, you can customize your index value as well. Here you could see it is auto generated 0 to 6. If you want to make your own index, then you can use a index argument, right? Let's say 100, 200, right? We have 7 rows, so your index would be shown as this value, right? Instead of 0 to 6, right? And the program, so you see your index are shown like this. Okay, now let's see what is sort index function with pandas series. I have some code handy to save some time. Let me paste it, right? It will create a new series with our customized index. Let me make it s1 and print it s1. So new series will be printed in the output window. So we have a b c d and our index is 3214, right? Okay, if you want to apply sorting on this index, so you can use s1 dot sort index. Okay, and then you take your result 1. Okay, if you're in the program, so your data would be sorted, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4. Your index has been changed, right, from this to this in sorted fashion. Okay, this is by default ascending order. If you want to make it descending, so you have to say ascending false, right? If you're in the program again, so you will see your index data is in ascending order. Okay, if you put one more value here, np dot null value, and you have, let me add one more value e, right? If you're in the program, now I want to use my na position, right? That is na position. I want my null value would be appeared at first, and then sorting should be applied. So you will see in the output that your null value is showing at first and then sorting is applied. Okay, so this is how you can use any position. So we have seen sort values and sort index function with pandas series. Guys, in this video we will be learning pandas data frame group by function in Python. as you know, group by is pretty simple concept, right? We have three steps. Like we have to first split the data, we have to apply some aggregate function, and then we have to show this complete data, right? So I have opened one Excel on my computer to understand how group by function works, right? In the back end, I have some sales data on basis of region and countries. It is daily basis data. It is total sales which achieved on a specific date against the region and the country, right? Okay, if we create a group on this data, so on basis of country, we have only sales 20, right? US, we have this group, okay, where we have sales 100, and we have UK sales 40. Okay, this is how we create groups. This is one group, this is second group, and this is third group, right? Which we created here. So this is called a group, right? Second step is to apply the aggregation, right? The formula which we have taken as a sum, right? So we are summing up the values, right? If you see the US, so we have three values, right? So we are summing up three values in total 100. Okay, so that is the second step to apply business logics. Third step is to show this data. This complete data you can show on your dashboard, right? We can use grouping on multiple series or multiple columns as well. So now I'm gonna minimize this, and we are going to work on the tutorials how this grouping works in DataFrame with the help of Pandas library. Okay, so grouping we have understood how it works in the backend. Now we are going to see how this can be implemented in Python program. Okay, so we will be using the same data. I have some code handy to save some time. First I'll be importing the pandas. So let me take the same data. Okay, this is called a dictionary, right? If you print D1, or you want to check the type of D1, so you will see this is a dictionary, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to create a new data frame, right? You see this is a dictionary. I'm going to create a new data frame. So df equals to pd pandas alias, and then data frame function I'm going to use. I have to pass on this dictionary into this data frame, right? So my data frame would be generated right on the output window. If you run the program again, so you will see your same data. We have three series, we have one column index, right? Where you can identify each row uniquely. Okay, if you want to create group on basis of country column, we can create it easily. So let me take df dot group by function I can use, and here I have to specify which column you want to create group on, right? So let me take country, and we'll print g1 dot groups, right? That one attribute we can use to see total groups on this object, right? If you're in the program, there are three groups created in this object. First India, second UK, third is US, wherein we have three rows, 3 2 3 4, right? 2 3 4. Okay, if you want to iterate these groups, you can easily iterate with help of for loop. So you can say name group in G1, right? You can print name and you can print group. Okay, so if you're in the program again, so you can iterate your each groups one by one. First group, that is India, right? There is one row on first position. Second group, that is UK, which is again a another row, that is first. Okay, third group, that is US. We have three rows in this group. Okay, so each group you can iterate with help of for loop. If you want to get the first record of each group, that is also possible. You can use first function. Okay, pg1 dot first, right? So this first function will return you the object, and that will return you the first row, right? So each group it has taken first row, right? For India, it took this row 0 20, which sales is 20. Second, it has taken UK, so we have only one row, that is 40 sales. And from third group, it has taken the first row, that is 30, right? You see, from this US group. Okay, so that is how this first function works on the group object. If you want to apply the sum, that can also work. G1 dot sum, this aggregate function you want to apply on this group. So this will work, right? We have three rows, 60, 10, and 30. You know, it's summing up 100. UK has 40 and India has 20, right? So this way you can do the sum on your column. Region, it has taken as a string, so all three values are concatenated here. Okay, so this is how this sum function works, this aggregate function works. On group object, if you want to get the group with its name, that is also possible with help of get underscore group function. So g1 dot get group, right? And you can mention the group name which you want to get. That, let me take US. Okay, and let me print, right? It will print you the all records which comes under US, right? If you're in the program US, this way it is case sensitive, I believe so. Yeah, so we are now getting a group which is named as US, right? Okay, so US group has three records in the data frame. We retrieve these records right from the same data frame. If you want to get India, so you will get only one row, right? Okay, so you see, you want to apply grouping on multiple series, so that is also possible. You just specify your multiple columns for group in list of string, right? So country and region I am now specifying, right? So you will see the difference in the output. Okay, this is the second case. If you're in the program again, so okay, so here we have to comment because it will work in a different way then, because multiple columns are applied here. So if you're in the program, so you will see your groups are now more than earlier, right? Many groups, right? You see, because we have segregated the data on basis of multiple columns, country and region. So first group, India East, second UK West, third US East, and fourth, that is US West, right? So total four groups are created here. Okay, even we have got the sum also, right? Now let's see other example. If you want to apply some aggregate functions on the group object, that is also possible. Let me remove this. If you want to apply some function on your group, so you can use aggregate function on the group, that is g1 dot aggregate. I want to apply sum, right? Okay, so you will get the sum of all the groups. So you are getting the same output as we were getting on the sum function of group. And you can use other function like you can use mean, right? Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get the mean of your data, right? So we are getting mean and sum both, right? So this is how aggregate function works. You can apply your different aggregate function with group object. Okay, if you want to use a gg function on group one, agg, right? If you're in the program, so you will get the same output, right? So either of the function you can use to get aggregation on the data. Okay. Now let's use lambda function on our group. We will be using filter function on the group, and then we will apply the lambda keyword. Okay. I want the group which is having more than one record, right? So we have to say group one dot filter we will be applying, right? And then we have to use lambda. In the lambda, so we'll be using the group x, and then we'll be using length x greater than equals to 1. If you're in the program, you will get all groups including its data, right? If I remove this equal, so you will get only one. You will get only two records because US and East is only the one group which is having more than one record, right? If you see US East and this US East, right? So this group is having two records. That's why this condition is certified and we retrieve two records in this data frame. Okay, so we have seen how we can use group by function on data frame. We have seen how we can create group with multiple keys, how we can get group by their name. Okay, how we can apply aggregate function on group, and how we can use lambda keyword to filter our groups, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas DataFrame transform function in Python, right? As you know, Pandas is an amazing library that contains extensive built-in function for manipulating data, right? Transform is super useful when you are looking to manipulate rows or columns, right? You should note this point. You are going to manipulate rows and columns with these functions. Okay.
I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer, right? Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. If you have not installed this library on your computer, you have to open your command prompt or you can open your terminal and type one command, that is pip install pandas. Okay, once you execute this command, Pandas library will be installed on your computer, right? Similar way, you can install other libraries as well. For example, NumPy, right? To install NumPy library, you have to type in command like pip install NumPy. Okay. Now let's get started with our today's video. Now let's import Pandas library first, right? This is the alias for Pandas PD. I'm going to create a quick data frame. I'm going to take two series, two columns, you can say. These would be in form of dictionary, right? So this is very simple data frame I'm going to create. Let me print it. If you're in the program, okay, very simple. If you see the type of the data frame, so you can easily check with this type function, right? So this is a data frame. Okay. Now let's come to the agenda, right? Which is transform function, right? So transform function, which means we can manipulate rows and columns, right? If you want to apply any of the custom logics on each values of the data frame, that is possible. For example, if you want to calculate the square of each value from the cell, okay, that is possible. How you can do that? If you see the documentation of transform function, this is transform function on data frame, where you see the parameter is type of function, right? We can pass on any type of string, list, hash table, okay, and we can get the output. You want to calculate the square of each value in the entire data frame. So how you can do that? In a simple way, first you will create a function, right? Let me take sq, okay. Here I'll take one argument. I'll be returning square of the value, right? So I'll say x into x, okay. That is the formula. Now, if I want to calculate square of each value, so in the transform function, I'll be just passing sq, okay. If you print the object which will be returned by this transform, so you will get your all squares in each cell, right? See, so we have a square for 2, that is 4. For 4 we have 16. For 6 we have 36. Second column has the same thing, 5 for 25, 6 for 36, and 7 for 49, right? So you have manipulated your rows and columns on the data frame with help of transform function, right? And you have just passed a function, right? So this is the one way to pass on your user defined function to the transform function, okay. Second way, to use built-in function, right, in the transform function. How? Let me take print df dot transform, right? Now what I want to refer the one of the function from numpy library that will calculate the square of value, right? So there is a function in numpy. I'm going to import numpy library as np, right? Because I have installed it on my computer. I'll say np dot square, right? There is a function, you see, there is a function square. I can use it. I can simply pass it. Okay. This is the same thing. What you are doing in first line. Okay. You have referred built-in function from the numpy library. Here you have user defined function which is used for transform. If you're in the programs, output would be the same. No difference. You see, both the statement has the same output. Either of the way you can do it. Third way is we can use lambda function as well. Okay. That is called anonymous function. So you can say lambda, right? Here we can say x would be our element, argument, and we'll say x into x, right? That is the only thing we have to do. This is done. Okay, this is called a anonymous function like this function. But here the difference between this function and this function is, here we do not have any name of the function, while we have the name for our function, that is sq, right? So this is the same thing if you're in the program, so output will be the same. Okay, you see, all three statement has the same output. Okay, so transform means we can manipulate rows and columns with help of other functions. Okay, whether it is built-in function, whether it is user-defined function, whether it is anonymous function. All right. If you want to use multiple function, that is also possible, right? If you want to calculate the square root of element, so you can pass like np dot square root function we have, right? sqrt from numpy library. So it will calculate a square root, right? So two columns will be generated in the output for second statement in the program. So we have to pass on this number of function in a list form, right? So that is now corrected. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will see, so for two columns we have square and we have square root, right? For column 2 we have a square, we have a square root, right? If you want to do it another way, like you want to create a series, so let me create a series quickly. On s1 you can do it, right? More easy, s1. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get very fair output, right? Square and square root, right? For square 3 we have 9, 4 we have 16, 5 we have 25, and the square root is this. If you want to pass on another function, you can pass on. If you want to calculate exponential values, so you can pass on the function from numpy exponential exp, right? So it will calculate exponential value for each element, right? So you will see the exponential values is calculated. Okay, guys, in this video we will be learning pandas concat function in Python. So concatenation means we are adding multiple things together, right? If you talk about string concatenation, means add string together. For example, I have first name and last name. I want to make full name. So what you will do? You will use plus operator to add two or more string, right? To make one. For example, I have first name, last name, Cruz, and make full name, right? First name plus some space we will leave here and then last name. So you will get the full name. If you're in the program, so you will get full name Tom Cruise, right? This is the concept of concatenating strings, but our agenda of the tutorial is to concatenate two or more series or two or more data frames into one, right? So with help of pandas concat function, we will be concatenating series and data frame. Okay, now let's get started with our today's tutorial. Let me remove this code, and before getting started with any of the implementation, we have to install Pandas library on our computer. If you have not yet installed it, you have to open your command prompt, or you can open terminal. You can type in one command, that is pip install pandas, right? Once you execute this command, Pandas library will be installed on your computer. Then you can use its features. So let me import pandas library quickly. Import as pd, this is alias. Okay, I have two series. You can say that is a current year student name, right? We have two names, that is the serial number. So this you can say a series, right? Single column, multiple values, right? Same way we have another series, right? Series 2, last year student names, right? We have different names. So what we want to concatenate these two series, right? Different series into one. Okay, very simple. So we will be creating these two series first with help of pandas library. Then we will be concatenating both. Okay, let me minimize this. So let me create series 1, and we have another series, that is, let's print both series as 1 and then as 2. Okay, so now we will concatenate both series, right? So let me print, and we say pd dot concat function we have here. If you see the documentation, so first argument is object iterable, right? We can pass on n number of iterable objects. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to pass on our series objects, right? S2 in form of list, right? So this is a form of list. We are passing S1 and S2, right? If you're in the program, so you will see both series are concatenated, right, into one. You see four names into one string. Okay, here we have a index column which identifies each row. Okay, 0 1 0 1. This is auto generated. Okay, if you want to ignore index, right,
this index value and you want to regenerate it from 0, then you have to use one argument, okay, that is ignore index. It should be true. By default it is false, right? If you run the program again, so you will see the index are generated in sequence from 0 to n, right? 0 to 3. Previously it was 0 1 and 0 1, right? Because there were two different series, right, where indexes was created separately. We have one more argument, axis equals to 1 or 0, right, or 2, right? If you use axis equals to 1, which means it will allow your more than one series into columns, right? You see, for first series we have generated first column, for second series we have generated second columns, right? So with the help of axis equals to 1, so your all series will be converted into columns, right? That way, right? If you make it 0, so this will be taken as a single column, right? This way, okay? If you want to segregate your series is, right, with some prefixes, so you can do this also, right? You can use key argument, right? So your series will be separated, right, with some prefixes, okay? You say my series 1, my series 2, right? If you run the program again, so you will get, so you have to make 1 x is equals to 1, so then you have to make it false also, right? Or you can remove. If you run the program again, so you will see with x is equals to 1, your series is defined with keys, right? S1, and series 2 is defined with S2. Okay. If you make it 0, so your indexes will be decorated with your keys, right? You see, S1 that is your first, S2 that was your second series. Okay. So you can use keys also to identify your indexes, your series data. Okay, if you want to provide name to your indexes or your keys, that is also possible. Let's say I'm going to use for my first column, that is my series name. Okay, first column is my series name and the second column would be my row id. If you're in the program again, so you will see the names on the top of both columns, right? Series name S1 and S2, row id we have 0101. Okay, that way it works. Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas concat function in Python. So concatenation means we are adding multiple things together, right? If you talk about string concatenation means add string together. For example, I have first name and the last name. I want to make full name. So what you will do, you will use plus operator to add two or more string, right? To make one. For example, I have first name, last name, Cruz, and make full name, right? First name plus some space we will leave here and then last name. So you will get the full name. If you're in the program, so you will get full name Tom Cruise, right? This is the concept of concatenating strings, but our agenda of the tutorial is to concatenate two or more data frames into one, right? So with help of pandas concat function, we will be concatenating data frame. So let me import pandas library quickly. Import as pd, this is alias. Okay, so we have here two data frames, right, where we have name column, age, address, right, in one data frame. In second data frame we have name, qualification, right, for the employees. Okay, what we want to concatenate both data frame into one data frame. Okay, let's do it. Okay, let me minimize it, and I have some code handy to save some time. I have some dictionary with me. Okay, so this dictionary one, we have three columns, we have two rows. Okay, two names, ages, address. In the same way, we have dictionary two, we have name, we have qualification. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to create two data frames with the help of these dictionary, and then we will be concatenating those two data frames into one, right? Data frame one, pd.dataframe, I'll be passing dictionary 1 and data frame 2, and even I am going to take indexes, my custom indexes for both the data frames 1, 2, right? and here I'm going to take index. Okay, so that is 3 and 4, right? Pretty simple. So both two data frames are created if you print data frame 1 and data frame 2. So you will see your rows and columns for both the data frames, right? So we have one data frame. Okay, we have second data frame. Okay, now let's see how to concatenate these two. Let me have some more space. And here I'm going to use one concat function pass on my data frame in the same way as we passed for series, right? Data frame and result one we will be printing. Okay, our both the data frames are concatenated into the one. For first and two index, we had no qualification, right? That's why the null values appeared. We have axis parameter as well here. Okay, if you make it one, so your output will be changed, right? So we are going to concatenate data frames, from left to right, means first data frame then second, that way, with the help of axis equals to 1. If you're in the program, so you will see your first data frame added first here, then after that your second data frame was added, right? You see column name is duplicated now, but before axis equals to 0 the column name was same, right? So axis 1 means we are going left to right. From axis 0 we are going top to bottom. So this is called a outer join, right? How concatenate function worked. So this is called a outer join by default. Okay, if you make your join argument value as inner, which means it will check the condition on basis of both data frame indexes, right? Which will give you the matching records on basis of indexes, right? So we have two records in first data frame, we have two records as well in second data frames. But here if we apply join as inner, which means it will check each indexes one by one from each other, right? If it is matched, then only the output would be generated. Otherwise, no output will be generated. If you run the program again, so you will see no data, right? It would be empty data frame because the indexes are unique for both the data frame. If you make it one, right, for your data frame 2, then your inner join will work. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will see only one record because index are now matched for both the data frame. That's why inner join is applied. This inner join is same as we have joins in SQL, right? Inner join. If I make it any other key, so it will not join anything, right? Because indexes are unique for both the data frames, right? If I make it 3 here and here I make 2, so second record will be concatenated, right? Second record, this and this. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you will see now the Adam records. Okay, if you want to specify keys for your data frame in the concat function, that is also possible. You can pass on like keys data frame 1 and my data frame 2, right? If you run the program again, so you will see here we have inner join. So let me make outer, right? It will include all records from both the data frames, right? So you will see data frame 1 columns and data frame 2 columns. Okay, that way you can segregate your data frames as well. Okay, since axis equals to 1, that's why the keys are appeared at the top. But if you make axis equals to 0, then your keys would be appeared on the left, right? Join is still outer by default, right? So outer means we are making union, right? Making union for all the data frames. You can have n number of data frames. If you want to make it one more data frame, that is also possible. You create data frame 3, you pass here, right? Like df3, it will work. Okay, but make sure whether how many data frame you are passing, same number of keys you have to pass here. Okay, you can use append function also, right? Pandas append function also to concatenate two data frames, right? How? I say data frame 1 dot append function. Okay, so we have underscore append and data frame 2. Okay, so it will work same as concatenate.
this function. Okay, if you run the program again, so you will see the same thing. Okay, so you made a union here, okay, across the data frames, right? 1 and 2. We have one important case, that is we have a data frame, we have a series as well, right? If you want to concatenate one series and one data frame, so how it will be done, right? I have one new series handy with me to save some time. So series 3, right? If you print it, so it will show you two columns, name and subject. Okay, so name and subject, Krish, and subject is math. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to concatenate this series into data frame 1. Okay, so same way we will be doing. So we will be creating result 2 and pd dot concat. Okay, and here first we will take data frame 1, and then we will be taking series 3, okay, dot to frame. You see, we have one function which actually converts one series to data frame, right? And dot t. Okay, this is attribute for it. It will give you the data frame, right, from series. Okay, if you print the result 2, so it will concatenate data frame 1, this data frame, John, Adam, and S3, right? Krish and Matt. If you run the program again, so you will see Krish is now added as a third record. Okay, these two record belongs to data frame 1, and this record belongs to this series. You can pass ignore index also, right? We want to ignore index so that our index would be generated uniquely, right? So 0, 1, 2. In this tutorial, we have seen how we can use pandas concat function in Python. We have seen concatenation in Python. We have seen how to concatenate more than two data frame into one, right? Guys, in this video, we will be learning pandas merge function in Python. As you know, we have been learning pandas library. Today, we have one more function to learn. Pandas provides a single function, that is merge, as the entry point for all standard database joins operation between data frame objects, right? You must be knowing SQL joins. We have left join, inner join, right join, and full join. We have cross join. Okay. So these common operations we will be learning in today's video. Okay. So before I move further, let me show you these four type of joins which are used in SQL, right? So we have inner join, full join, left join, right join, right? So here you could see left table, right table, which means we would be using left data frame, right data frame. Okay, so we will be merging two data frames together. You can see there are two data frames, 1 and 2. The first data frame has students information with student id, name, age, and qualification id. That qualification id is associated with this qualification data frame, right? Q1 Q1 is duplicated. So these two data frames we are going to merge with help of these operation. Okay, inner joins means we have to pass on one condition. If condition is matched, then the common records will be retrieved. For full joins, we will be taking all the records from both the data frames, right? For left join, we will be taking the left table or left data frame, right? Irrespective of which data is matched between both data frames, right? Opposite to left join, we have right join. We will be taking the records from right data frame, okay? Irrespective of which data is matched on basis of keys, okay? These keys. Now let me minimize this. Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your machine. If you have not yet installed it, you have to type in one command. You have to open your command prompt, or you can open terminal and type one command, that is pip install pandas. Once you execute this command, Pandas library will be installed on your computer. Okay, now let's get started with our today's tutorial. So I will quickly import Pandas library, import Pandas as PD, and I have some code handy to save some time. Let me paste it. So I have two dictionary, dictionary 1 and dictionary 2. This is nothing but the same data which I shown you in the Excel, right? That is the student information, student ID, qualification ID, student name, age. In second dictionary, we have qualification ID and qualification name, right? Okay. So with the help of this dictionary, I'm going to create two data frames, right? So let me take data frame 1. So I'll be passing dictionary 1, create data frame 2. Let me execute the program. So you can see we have two data frames, data frame 1, right? We have student information, qualification ID, the name of the student and the age, right? Same way we have second record. We have another data frame, that is qualification ID and the qualification, right? We have three qualification inside this data frame. Okay, pretty simple so far. Now what we have to do, we have to create one result one, and then we have to use pd dot merge function, right? That is the function which we are going to use to merge two data frames, right? So here if you see the documentation of this function, left right means we have to pass on left data frame, that is data frame 1, and then right, and we have to now set one argument how, which means we have to perform operation, which operation we are going to perform. So you could see left, right, inner, outer, or cross, right? We have five operations. Okay, by default it takes inner, so I'm going to take left operation, means I'll be getting all the record from left data frame. Okay, we have to set one more argument on, which means which id you are going to use for merging the data frames, right? Which should be same in both the data frames, right? So I'm using qualification id, right, which will be used to merge both data frames, and then we will print result 1. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will see we will be getting two records, right? This is the output q1 and q2 we got, right? Even we have got the qualification from this second data frame. Okay, you see we have qualification which is associated with this key, right? q1, q2, and q2, right? If I change the qualification id here, okay, 1 and 2, so you will notice here it will not show any data, just it will show a null value, because so left join will take all the records from left data frame, but qualification id condition will not be satisfied, right, on basis of this key, right? Okay, if you're in the program again, so you see qualification values not appeared. If I take right, okay, so what will happen? It will show these three records first, okay, and it will show these two records as well with null value, because still condition will not match, okay, on this column, right? If you're in the program again, so you will see we have three records. If you notice, age has not any of the data, student id has not any of the data, name has not any data, because this condition is not satisfied, still it is not satisfied. If I make it back, so for q1 and q2 we will be getting name and age, right? Because condition will be matched for these. Okay, if you're in the program again, so you see the name is appeared now, John and Adam, because we have two records against these qualifications. Okay, but for three, but for third qualification q3 we do not have any other student. Okay, so that is how right works. Okay, let's see other type of merge, that is outer, right? If you run the program, so all the data from first and second data frame, right, it will be shown. If I take inner merge, then we will get the records which are matched, right? We will get only two records, right? q1 and q2, right? Because both the values will be matched with each other, right? If you're in the program, so you will see only two records. Okay, right? q1 and q2, because condition is satisfied on this qualification id, right? Like this, only matching records will be retrieved. Okay, if I make it 2, so only one record we will fetch.
if you're in the program, so you will get only one record, right? You see, we have different type of merge here, that is cross. If you apply cross, we don't need to pass on this parameter because cross will take all the records from both the data frames. Okay, you see, it is a Cartesian product, right? As you know, it will apply number of records from data frame 1 multiply number of records from data frame 2, right? So that is why we are getting 6 records. Okay, we have another way of merge two data frames, that is, if I write result 2 data frame 1 dot merge, we can use merge function on data frame as well. Then we have to pass on data frame 2 as a first argument, and we can say how would be inner, right? This is the same thing, right, as we were using inner, right, in how parameter. Okay, and but merge function on the data frame has different type of arguments. So here we have to pass on another parameter, that is left on, means the key from left table, that is qualification, we can say this one. Okay, and another parameter we have to pass on right on, right? Okay, this is the same. Okay, which means we are saying from the left table, from the left data frame what is the key, from the right data frame what is the key, right? So we have this common key in both the data frames, right? Qualification id, that's why we have passed here. So if you print result 2, so you will get the same output as you were getting with inner, right, in pd.merge. Okay, so you are getting only one record, right? If you apply inner again here, okay, and more parameter we have to pass, that is, this is the same key. So here I'm trying to say both result 1 and 2 will have same output, right? If you're in the program again, so you see we are getting same output from both the statement. Okay, either of the way you can apply merge on multiple data frames, right? Okay, so in this tutorial we have seen what is merge function is pandas, how we can perform those operations on data frames, and how we can use merge function on data frame, right? Guys, in this video we will be learning pandas join function in Python. As we have been learning pandas libraries functions, we have seen how to concatenate, how to merge. Now this is another part of joining multiple data frames, right? So join function is used to join columns of another data frame, right? Join columns with other data frames either on index or on key column. Let me show you data frames on my Excel. I have two data frames, right? Student data frame 1 and I have qualification data frame 2, right? If you see, we have SQL operations, inner join, full join, left join, right join. So these concepts we have already discussed in our previous tutorials. So here what we are going to do, we are going to join multiple data frames, right? Left table means we have left data frame, right table means we have right data frame. Okay, inner joins works to get the matching details from both the data frames. Full joins takes all the records from all the data frames, right? Regardless of which data is matched or not, right? So left join used to take records from left data frame, right? Regardless of which data match or which is not matched. Opposite to left, we have right, then we take records from right data frame. Okay. Now let's see how we can use join function. Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. If you have not yet installed it, you have to open your command prompt, or you can open a terminal, then type in one command, that is pip install pandas, right? Once you execute this command, Pandas library will be installed on your computer, right? Now let's get started with our today's tutorial, right? I'm going to import Pandas library quickly. Pandas as PD, right? First, we will join two indexes object, okay, with the help of join function. So let me create two indexes quickly. I'm going to create pd.index function is used to create index, right? Anything you can take as an integer. So you can take different value this time. So here the objective is to join both indexes, right? So I'm going to print, so you can take I1 dot join function. I'm going to pass another index, that is I2. Okay, here we have an argument, that is how. So we are going to say please apply inner join, right. So whatever values are matching across the indexes, just get those records, right. So if you're in the program, so you will get nothing, okay, because in how we have applied inner. If you make it outer, so you will get all the records, you see. So we have all elements, right. If you use inner and you use the same keys, right, then you will get 2, okay, you see, because it works on basis of how parameter, right. If you see the documentation, so you will see compute join index and indexes to conform data structure to the new index, right. How means left, right, inner, outer. We can use any of it, right. If we want to use left, so it will give you the left elements of the index, right, which is I1, 11, 2 and 3, right. If you make it right, so you will get element from right index, right, 1, 2 and 23. This way it works, okay. If you want to sort the elements, then you can use sort true. So it will sort your all elements in the output, right. It is already sorted. If you see outer, then you will get all your elements in sorted manner, right. 1, 2, 3, 11, 23, right. You see, here we have unsorted way. If you apply left and you make it sorted true, then you will get 2, 3, 11. You see, right? If you make it false, so you will get your all element as it is, right? 11, 2, and 3, right? Now let's see how to join string of series, right? I have some code handy to save some time, right? This is a series, right. I'm going to refer numpy library to get null value, right. So np.nanbase it. So here it's a simple series, right, which we are going to print. If you print it, we have different type of values, right. This is one dimensional array, right, in form of a string. This is integer type of list. This has a string, and this has null values also. This list contains string and integer, right. We have this different type of list here. If you print it, so you will get all your strings, right, in form of rows and columns. We have row index, okay. If you want to join your strings, right, so you can use a delimiter, and then your all string value will be joined, right. But any of the list contains different type of value other than strings, it will not join, okay. So how? So we are going to use str s.str dot join, okay. So we will be specifying a delimiter, right. Let's say we want to join our whole string with this delimiter hyphen, and if we run the program, so you will see your all string values will be joined with this delimiter, right, while other values are not joined, because these other values contains numeric values, null values, and different type of object, right. That is why this join function did not apply on those type of values. Here if you want to remove null value, and right, so this value will also be joined, right. So this is how series string join function works. Now let's see how to join two data frames, right. I have some code handy to save some time. I have these data frames, two data frames, data frame 1 and other, right. So here I have dictionary, we have key as a list of string, right. Then we have another column A, the list of string, okay. The same way we have another data frame, key, and one other column, okay. So if we print, you will see the output. We have two data frame created, right. Data frame 1 and data frame 2. We have key columns, right? Key and key. So these key columns we are going to use in join function. Okay. Result, and then I take data frame 11 dot join, right? And I'm going to say just take other object, this other data frame, okay, which we are going to join, and we have to say how parameter should be, right, inner. We can say just give us the matching records from both the data frames. Okay, and you will see the result, right? So okay, so it is saying that key columns is exist in both the data frames, so you have to specify their suffix, right? So we are going to use left suffix, right? Color, any name you can take here, and right suffix you can take, right? That is my, if you print it, so your both keys columns will be printed in the output, because now these are changed, because we have key called, right, and we have key other, right, because both the data frames has key column. That is why previous exception raised. Okay, now we have specified left data frame suffix, right, which will identify this key column uniquely, and then right suffix, that is other. Okay, both column has the same value. Here in the output you will notice we are only getting the matching records, which means k0 we have a0 b0, right, a0 b0, we have k1 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 k1, we have k2 we have k2. So that is why three records only retrieved, because we applied inner join. Okay, if you see the documentation, so you will see how parameter will contain different type of values, right? You see left, right, inner, outer, cross, all these common SQL operations we can use. Okay, if you use left, so you will get all left records from this data frame, right? If you're in the program, you see, okay, all the records 1 2 3 4 5 6, all six records, right? If you make it right, okay, we will get the three records, and both three records matched with data frame 1, k0 k1 k2, k0 k1 k2. If you see outer, so we will get all the records from both the data frames, right? It is full join in SQL. If you say cross, so you will get Cartesian product, right? Means 1 2 3 4 5 6 into 1 2 3. Okay, so these are the one operations we can perform with the help of join function in Pandas. Let me show you a different scenario where we have data in form of meaningful information, like, let me remove it. Okay, and you see we have two dictionary, dictionary 1 dictionary 2, right? Both contains student related information, right? We have a student id, name, age. Dictionary 2 have country name, and these two dictionaries getting used to create data frames. Data frame 1 dictionary 1, and we are using now index 1 and 2, right? To create data frame 2 we are using dictionary 2, that is the country, right? And here we are using index 1 2 3, right? If you're in the program, so you will see your both the data frame. Okay, we have two records. Okay, and here in the country data frame we have three records. So now here my point is to show you how to join two data frames with the help of index, this parameter. Okay, data frame 1, then join. Okay, and then data frame 2 df2. In how parameter we can pass, please give me the result which are matched, you know from both the data frames. Okay, so if you print result, so you will see only one record, because in the index columns value 1 is only matched, right? So you see, so you will get two records, right? So in index we have two values which are matched, 1 2 1 2, that is why two records are appeared. Okay, if you change the value of these index into the data frame 2, so you will not get any of the information, because we have used inner, which means in index we could not found anything which is matched, right? You see, if you take left, now you will get the record from left data frame. Okay, 1 2, you see 1 2. Okay, if you take right, so you will get record from right data frame, which means the country information you will get, right? And no other information is retrieved from this student data frame, because right we have applied, but no matching criteria found in both the data frames, right, on this index column. We can use on key parameter also. If you use on, which can tell you which column you want to use to match your data, right? if I use country ID from data frame 1, so which means just use my country ID, right? In data frame 2, it should be 1 and 2, right? We are going to use inner. Okay, so what do you think? We will get any information? No, because in inner we will not match any of the records with country, right? Because in country we have 1 and 2, but in data frame 2 we do not have anything which is matched with 1 and 2, right? If I say 1, so now this time the first record will be appeared, right? You see? Okay, so we have seen today three type of things. First is we join indexes, second we join string column of series, right? Then we joined data frames. Okay, guys, in this video we will be learning pandas compare function in Python. As a data scientist or software engineer, you may come across situation where you need to compare rows in a pandas data frame or series, right? This can be challenging task, especially if the data frame or series is large and contains numerous rows, right? I'm going to show you one example of where you can use compare function, right? I have two series, series 1 India sales, right? I have series 2 UK sales. Okay, so this sales against on labels March, April, May, right? We have 500, 300, 400, but in May we have 250. Okay, so this is the problem. What we are going to do, we are going to get these differences, right, with help of compare function. Okay, let me minimize it. Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. If you have not yet installed it, you have to open command prompt, or you can open terminal and you type in one command, that is pip install pandas, right? Once you execute this command, pandas library will be installed on your computer. Then you can start using its features and functions. Okay, now I am going to quickly import pandas library and then we will creating two series. Okay, import pandas as pd. I have some code handy to save some time, right? Here we have two series, right? If you print this series, so you will get the same output, right? So you will get two series, series number 1 and series number 2. Okay, what we are going to do, we are going to compare, right, these two series and get the differences, right? In order to do that, what we have to do, we will taking a result and then we will use s1 dot compare function, right? Here we have to pass on as an argument, that is other, s2. Then you will see the differences of both series, right? In the output window, you will see self and other. Other means we have series number 2. Self means we have series number 1. Okay. As per the data, we have two differences in March and April. Okay. For self, which means it is a series 1, we have 200, right? We have 200. And for series number 2, we have 150, right? So that is why the difference came here, okay, in March. Similarly, in April also, we have 500. In April, we have 70. Okay. Now, let's see next thing. Here we have default result name, self and other by default. You can change these result names as well, right? If you want to set result names and then you provide for self, that is your India sales, right? And for other, you can say that is my UK sales. Okay, when you run the program, so you will see now instead of self and others, you could see India sales and UK sales, right? Okay, you can change the name of your result, right? Next thing, if you want to get your difference either vertical or horizontal, you can control this thing with help of other parameter, that is align axis, right? Set this align axis 0 means we will be getting our result differences horizontally, right? If you're in the program, you see, so these differences are horizontal, right? We have India sales where we have sales value 200, we have UK sales, we have 150, right? So this is a set, this is another set. Okay, now let's see other parameter, that is keep shape, which means if this keep shape is true, all rows and columns are kept. Otherwise, only the ones with different values are kept, right? So let's make keep shape true. It will include all rows, right? Respective of which is equal, which are not, right? You see, for May values are equal, so it will show null value.
use keep equal parameters true, then it will show us the correct value, right? You see, if we make keep equal false, it will show you the equal value as null, right? So that you can easily identify in complete data set, in complete result, okay, which are different values, right? Like this. You can remove your original, you can remove your equal data also, right? Making it false. Keep shape, okay? You see, equals values records are gone. So that is how we can use pandas compare function to compare multiple series, right? Okay. Now let's see how we can compare two data frames, right? So I have some code handy to save some time. This is dictionary 1, this is dictionary 2. Only the difference is we have in age column, right? If you see at my Excel, so I will show you data frame 1 India sales, data frame 2 UK sales, right? Okay. But here the difference in April sales, we have different values, right? So these difference we are going to identify with the help of compare function passing data frames. Okay, let me minimize it. Let me make first row equal and second row would have 40 and 420, right? This is a difference, right? Okay, so this is dictionary 1, dictionary 2. I'm going to create two data frames and I'll print those data frames. Okay, if I run the program, so you will see we have two data frames, right? The data frame 1 and data frame 2. Okay, the same thing we are going to do. What we have done with series is, so we will be taking result 1 and data frame 1 dot compare function we have. Okay, we have to pass on data frame 2. We'll just print result 1, right? So you will see the difference. Okay, if I run the program, so you will see we have two differences, right? One in country column, second difference is in age column, because in the country we have 1 and 12. In another data frame we have country 1 and 2. That is a difference. Okay, that's why it captured the difference, country ID and age. In age we have already 40 and 420, right? As I said, like, we can also name our results, right, with any of the name. By default it is self and other. You can name it. Okay, so you can use the same thing, right? Copy and paste, right? So it will show you India sales and UK sales, right? You see, India sales, UK sales, or age column, India sales, UK sales 420. So this is how we can get the difference, right? We can name it. Same parameter you can use, right? With data frame as well. Okay, if you want to make your result horizontally, right? You see, you can use the same parameter, keep shape, keep equal. So we have seen how to compare two series, how to compare two data frames. Okay, guys, in this video, we will be learning how to check two data frames whether values are equal or not in Python. Here we have two functions, right? We have equal function and we have eq function, right? Let me show you the Excel where we have two cases, case 1 and case 2. In case 1, we are checking each value from each data frames element wise and checking whether it is equal or not. If it is equal, it is returning true, otherwise it is returning false, right? So that is the first case. Second case we will be checking complete data frames. It will return single values, either true or false. So let me minimize this. I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer, right? Before getting started with any of the implementation, you have to install Pandas library on your computer. If you have not installed it, you have to open your command prompt, or you can open the terminal and then type in one command, that is pip install pandas. Once you execute this command, pandas library will be installed on your computer. I'm going to import pandas library quickly by using import. Another library which I'm going to import, that is numpy, right, for taking the null values from this library. Okay, so let's see how to use eq function in pandas library, right? I have some code handy to save some time. So these are my two data frames, data frame 1 and data frame 2. This is the same set of data which we have seen on the Excel. I'm going to print both data frame first, right? data frame 1. If you run the program, so you will get the same output, right? Data frame 1 and data frame 2. Okay, we have couple of scenarios, right, to check. We have values are equal. Okay, second, we have first data frame, any of the cell is having value, but other data frame cell does not have any value, right? This is second. Third, we have different values on both the data frames, right? Okay, you see. So let me use eq function that is on data frame 1. So eq, here we have to pass other data frame. Okay, we will be getting the result which will be returning, and then we will print it. If you're in the program again, you will get a new data frame that will return us the boolean value in each cell, right? You see, true, false, true, false, true, false, right? Which means if we check column 1 with column 1 values, so that is true. Okay, column 1 second row, that is also true. But here in row number 3, we are getting different values, right? That is why it is false. Okay, here we have two more false, right? In row number 1, 200, but here in row number 1 in second column we have null value. That is why it is showing false. Here we have 400, but here we have 450 value. That is why it is false. Okay, in third column, in the second one, we have same values, right, irrespective of which data type we are using, right? You see, we have 600.0, but here we have 600 only. It also returning true. So this is how we can use eq function on data frame. We have few more methods on data frame that can be used to perform comparison operations, right? Instead of eq, if you want to check whether values is greater than equal, then you can use ge, right? You see, we have GE method, that means it is checking greater than equal, right? Okay, if you're in the program, so it will check whether data frame values is greater than equal to data frame 2, right? You see, this value, it is equal, it means true. If you check 2200, that is greater than, right? Here if you check, right, we have false. Okay, but 400, right, it is false here, right? Because 400 is less than to 450, that is why it is showing false, right? So here it is checking. Okay, we have one more, less than equal, that can also be used, right, for checking whether value is less than equal. So instead of false here, it will show true, right, because the condition will satisfy. If you're in the program again, so you will see we have true here, because the value from data frame 1, row number 2, column number 2 is less than to this one. Okay, that is why it is true. So if you see this, these many functions we have with pandas library, right, which means we have equal. Okay, that checks equality. Any, that is not equal. Le, less than equal. This is lt, which means less than. That is ge, which means greater than equal. And finally this is gt, which means greater than. Okay, so you can use these methods on data frame object anytime. Now we are going to see how to check entire data frame whether all values are equal or not. This is the case number 2 here. Okay, so in order to use that, we have to use one function that is equals, right? So let me take result to 1 to get the result. Data frame 1 dot equals function we have to use, right, which needs other data frame. Okay, and if you print it result to 1, so you will get a single value, right, which will false, because both the data frames have different values. That is why it is showing false, right? If you try to make all values equal, so let me make this value from data frame 1 to data frame 2 equal. So it is now equal, right? All values are equal in data frame 1 and 2. If you run the program again, so it will check it is equal or not, which means it will return true, right? Because we have all values same in both the data frame. Guys, in this video, we will be learning how to check two pandas series whether values are equal or not in Python. Guys, have you ever come across a situation where you want to check each value of more than one series and decide whether the value is equal or not? So we have something in Pandas library, we have one function that can be used to check each cell values one by one So we have two function in pandas. One is eq, second is equals. Okay, so let me show you the scenario. So I have two series, okay, where I have some sales values, right, against day. If you notice, in second series I am missing some values, right? Okay, also I have same sales amount in both the series, okay, and I have also some values which are not same, right? So you want to check each cell value one by one and decide whether it is equal or not, right? And you want result in form of boolean, true or false. So if value is not equal on both the places, then we will get false. If value is equal, we will get true. Okay, if any of the series is missing any value, then it will always return as false, right? Okay, let's move to the python editor. I'm going to import pandas library quickly. Pandas SPD. If you have not installed Pandas library on your computer, you have to install it. You open your command prompt or open a terminal and then type in one command, that is pip install pandas, right? Once you execute this command, Pandas library will be installed on your computer. Okay. So I am also importing NumPy to have a null value, right? NP. So I have some code handy to save some time. If you see, I have two series, very simple series. Okay, we have the same sets of data which we saw on the Excel, right? If you print S1 and S2, so you will be able to see the same sets of data. Okay, if you're in the program, so you have series 1 data, you have series 2 data. Okay, now we are going to check whether each value from both the series is equal or not. So we have to use one function, that is on series object. We will be taking result series1 dot eq, right? And we have to pass on here s2. Okay, another series we have to pass in. If you print the result, you will get the output, right? So you see the output is on 1st of March label, right? We have true, which means both values are equal in both the series. On 2nd March, we have false because both values are not matched, right? Here on one place we have null, on second place we have some values, right? And what is this result? This is again a series, right? If you want to check which type of object it is, so you will see it is result. So you see this object which we are getting, that is series. Okay, this result object. We have one more parameter, that is fill value, which means if you want to assign any specific value to any of the series where we are having null value, so that can be assigned, and after that it can be evaluate. Okay, let's say I want to specify 300 where value is null. You will be able to see true value on 2nd of March because both values will be equal then, right? If you're in the program, so you see we have true because first what we are saying just set this value by default where we have null values and then evaluate with other series value. Okay, if I make it 400, then it will return us false. Okay, because this value is not matching with this. So this is first way of checking series values one by one and get whether it is equal or not. We have another way to check entire series, whether entire series are equal or not. Let me show you the Excel again. So I have different case here. These are the same series, same values. Now here we are checking entire series, right? Entire series, whether entire series are equal or not. So we will get only single value, whether it is true or false. Okay. Whereas in previous example, we were checking each value one by one and getting whether it is equal or not. Okay. Let me make a copy of series 1, right? Now here I am taking as 3. Both series has the same data. Okay. Now here I am going to take result 1 and then we are saying just check S1 and use equals one other function, right? This is a different function and we have to now check the S3 entire series. Okay. If you print the result 1, so you will get value as true, both series. Okay. If you make
any of the value different, okay, then here it will show false because values are not matching. You see, false. Respective of how many differences are there in entire series, it will always show false. Okay, if any of the value is different, it will always return false, right? If you make it 501 here in S1, so it will show you. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are comparing entire series. Okay, let's say if I make different value here in the label, so let's see whether it will show true or not, right? It will show false, right? Let's say if you have provide some decimal also in any of the value, it will still show false, right? Here we have decimal value, it is same value, but here we have integer value. Okay, that is why it is shown false. Okay, let's say if we want to keep np dot null value in one of the series, then let's see, it will still show false. If we replicate the same value in series 3 as well, then let's see how it will show it is true, right? So in case of null value on both the places in both the series, it will return you true. Okay, so here we have seen two function. One is eq function on series that checks each value one by one and return true or false. Second function is equals, which actually checks entire series, okay, and returns whether entire series are equal or not.
Guys, in this video, we will be learning Pandas DataFrame aggregate function in Python. So what is Pandas DataFrame aggregate function? So DataFrame aggregate function is used to apply some aggregation across one or more column, right? You know aggregation. So aggregation means we have few methods like sum, min, max, right? Like that. So these are aggregate functions. So aggregate using callable a string, dictionary, or list, or a string, right? I have to import pandas library. Okay, we have to create a data frame quickly, right? Pd dot data frame. Here we have to create a two-dimensional array. We are creating elements 1 2 3. Let me take one more row that would be containing null values, right? So np dot nan, right? Okay, just to ensure whether these values are not getting considered in aggregate function. Okay, here next thing we have to create columns name, right? We are saying my column would be a, b, and c. So we will have three columns, right? And we will print now this df object. Okay, if you run the program, so you will see the output, right? These are the values. In fourth row we have nothing, right? It is null values. Now let's use aggregate function df dot aggregate. You see, okay, if you see the documentation of aggregate function, so you will see, so we will be using first function. Okay, I have to calculate the sum of all the columns, right? So then how we will say, so I'm saying sum, I want to get the minimum value of each column. Okay, that is also possible. So let me take one new variable, new object name to print the output. Okay, if you're in the program, so you will get sum and minimum row will be creating. Okay, 7 plus 4 plus 1 12, 8 plus 5 plus 2 15. So we have sum column wise, and even you will get the minimum value as well, right? So in a column we have minimum value 1, in b column we have 2, in c column we have 3, right? Okay, if you want to say max, so your max value would be printed into the output, right? So you see max, so we have max value 7 in this column, 8, it is 9. So here this aggregate function will apply these functions onto all columns. If you want to specify your specific columns to get the aggregate values, I'm saying R2. Okay, here df dot aggregate. So here I'm saying I just need a column, right? And in my a column I need sum and min. Okay, I would be getting min and max. Okay, right? If you're in the programs, so you will get your output, right, for a and c columns. So column wise if you want to apply your functions, so that is possible. Okay, now you see For C, we have not calculated the sum because for C, we have not applied the formula, right? If you make it sum also, right? So let me make sum, then it will be calculated. Okay, you can say max. Now you run the program, so you will get the max value for C as well, right? You see 18 is now appeared, and you will observe the index has been replaced with this term, right? This function name. Okay, if you want to make your index different, so that is also possible. You have to just say copy and R3. Let me remove. I want to say that would be my x index. Okay, for a column I want max. Similarly y and z, right? So you will get output accordingly. Okay, so your index would be changed now. So if you say x, for a we have max, right? For a we have max 7, right? For b we have max 8. Okay, so we have max of c is 9. If you want to take other different function, right? If you're in the program, so you will get, right? For C, mean is 6, right? If you want to apply the aggregate on the columns, right? So that is also possible. R4, and I want to apply mean, okay? And axis would be my columns, okay? So if you're in the program on your columns, right? For 0 row, your mean is 2, which means 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6 divided by 3, 2. Either you keep 1 or you keep columns as a value. Okay, if you make it 0 for a entire column, so your mean is 4, right? 7 4 plus 1, right, which means 12, right, divided by 3, which means 4.
Guys, one more important thing is we have aggregate function also, which works same as a double gg function, right? If you use aggregate, so it will work same as a gg function, right? Make it different variable name if you're in the program again, so you will get the same output for these, right? One is a gg, second is aggregate, right? Guys, in this video we will be learning pandas unique function in Python. I am using editor PyCharm and Python version 3.12 is installed on my computer. You can get unique values from any of the list object, whether it is index object, whether it is series object. You can get unique values easily with the help of this function. You can use unique function directly from Pandas library by using alias, or you can use unique function on index object or series object. So let's see unique index. How we can get unique indexes? We have one simple index list here where we have duplicate indexes 1 1, 2 2 and 3 as a unique value. Okay, here what we want, by using unique function on pandas index object, we will be getting unique values, right, as a result. Okay, 1 2 3. Before getting started any of the implementation, you have to install pandas library on your computer first. If you have not yet installed it, you have to install by opening your command prompt, or you can open your terminal and type in one command, that is pip install pandas. Once you execute this command, pandas library will be installed on your computer, right? So let me import pandas library quickly. Import, so I'm saying indexes and pd dot index, right? Okay, here I'm going to take same values. If you print this indexes object and you're in the program, so you will see your index values in the output window, right? So what we have to do, we have two ways, right? Either we can apply the unique function on this object itself, right? That is the first way. If you run the program, so you will get your unique value, right? 1 2 and 3. Okay, second way, you can use pd dot unique function. Okay, and you can pass your index object, right? So what it will return, it will return you unique hash table values, right? And you print it, then you will see the same output, right? In both the statement we will be getting same output, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, if you want to get the type of this result, so you will see it is 1D array. Okay, okay, this is 1D numpy and d array, right? Now let's see how we can get unique elements from pandas series. As you can see here, we have unique series
we have some series values in cells. Okay, some elements are duplicated in cells. Okay, we want to get the unique sales values, right? Now what we will do, we will first create a simple series, pd.series function. If you print it, so you will get your series right in the output window. Okay, this is very simple series. Here we are also getting a one row index, right? Okay, 0 to 4. Use unique function right on the object itself. If you get the unique values, so you will be able to see the unique elements, right? We have another way, same as indexes. Let me make result 1 and then say pd dot unique, and we can pass nd array, right, which is our s1. If you print result 1, so you will get the same elements, right? You see, in both the statement we are getting the same thing. Okay, either of the way we can use. If you want to know what is the type of result 1, so you can find it easily with the help of type function. Okay, which means it will return nd array, right? Okay, you see, it is returning numpy nd array. So here we have seen how we can get unique elements from pandas indexes or pandas series, right?
Congratulations on completing the course of Pandas library in Python. You have mastered key programming concepts. Keep coding, debugging, and innovating. Don't forget to subscribe our channel for more exciting content on all things tech related. Thanks for watching and learning with us.